down. So
on purpose, I'm not saying anything.
why?
I think you should, Chris. I think you should with the best mic. I think maybe you should speak first.
Matt, are you really mad at me now because I singled you out? I can't even hear you now.
I think we should explain to the people what you're talking about, Chris.
Shall we?
You were specifically singling Matt and I out for not sounding as good as the others when you listened to the show last week.
Okay, everyone. Welcome to DJs and Beers episode
37.
37.
Yeah.
Now it's really funny because now you guys drop out when you start talking, like you're completely silent now.
It might be a Zoom compression thing.
Yeah.
I think they just changed their settings. Like, what's 37th episode? We still didn't figure out how we should sound.
Maybe in 2021.
All right, everybody listening out there or even watching. What do you think of how our mics compare to each other? Like if you leave some comments in the commenting in the comment section, then we can find out. We could make a vote. Who's sounding the best? I think that definitely is going to be won by Mo.
Well, that's a given. Okay. It's all about who's second best.
No, it's all about who are the two worst.
I mean, Matt, like if we go back and listen to show 1, I think the way his sound has evolved over 37 shows, I would give Matt the top prize.
Thank you.
You win, Matt.
So guys, how do you feel? Do you feel emotional? 37 shows. Did you think it would last this long? Are we, what do
Cheers
we,
to that.
how do we feel about that?
Emotional.
Still here.
Are we in a reflective mood? Are we just focused on next year? And have you guys had a chance to think about the first show and how we've evolved?
Well,
Someone on Instagram had posted a clip of the first episode with our like virtual backgrounds and everything. It's just like, it feels
I had the
so
Saki virtual background.
yeah, it feels so long ago, which is kind of funny.
It
feels
is
like
long
years
ago.
ago.
Well, I mean, it feels like it was like a really long time ago. It's like, damn, because like just how the show has evolved and how we've, obviously progressed and evolved.
Well, I don't mean to put a negative spin on anything, but it does make me reflect on how for 37 weeks I've been locked in my house and haven't seen it. So that's one way to look at it. I think the first episode we did, I was in quarantine in a hotel room right when I just got back from Germany.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I guess the key is maybe like, do you guys feel like you've added years to your life, or do you feel like you've aged a lot faster because of the adjustment?
I mean, look at us. Just compared to the first show.
I know you can visually maybe do a comparison. You could do a visual comparison, but how do you feel on the inside? Do you feel like you regained some aspects of your health? Because we know what we put our bodies through on a weekly basis. Some of us more than others.
I think for me personally, health-wise, has been great. I've lost a lot of weight and I've been able to focus on that, but still, I don't know, mentally, I'm still probably a little bit jacked up. Focus, but I'm getting by. I'm doing all right. I don't know, mentally, I can't really I'm still probably a little bit. Could be worse.
Maybe we've aged mentally a lot more than
focus, but
we used to, but physically we somehow aged backwards by drinking more or less alcohol. I don't know. Did we drink more or less? Probably less alcohol.
I think I've drunk
more
beer. Yeah, I think I've drunk more beer than I've ever drunk in my life this year.
I know for sure my social skills have declined dramatically.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I mean, I haven't really seen anybody, and for a long time. It's funny just because recently I talked to my sister. I haven't seen my sister the whole year, and she lives literally less than 10 miles away from me. So we agreed next week to actually see each other. It's funny just because recently I talked to my sister, like, hey, you know what? You're sick. I'm not sick. We're both in quarantine. Let's get together. And I actually started getting anxiety of actually seeing my sister next week. How am I going to socialize? What is she going to think? It's such a strange feeling for me.
Maybe because you don't have much to talk about like before, where you would be traveling?
Yeah,
like,
possibly.
what are we going to talk about? Well, I'll just sit home.
I think mostly I'm scared that I actually got to put pants on.
You stand up for a second.
No, man.
Wow. So,
what about you guys?
Well, I think I matured heavily over the past 9 months.
Chris, where are you now? Why don't you tell the fine folks out there where you are now? Because I don't think anybody recognizes Bruce and CH.
We've lost someone. Anybody has been to the Igloo Fest in Montreal?
Yeah.
Yes. I played.
Such a good place. And I love that hat. That's great. So talking about the social skills, I arrived yesterday at my new place where I'm going to be spending the next 4 months, essentially. And I came here late, sort of like around 8 at night. And I met my landlords. They're living there's a couple, an older couple. And talking about social skills, I felt so awkward to talk to strange people, like people that I don't know. It's just, It was really weird. Like really, I felt like pretty stupid a lot of times, more than normal. Like I feel pretty stupid a lot of times, but when I talk to strange people, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
How's your French, Chris?
It's just non-existent, which is not really helpful too.
Well, you've got like 4 months to kind of get used to it, haven't you?
Yeah, I should learn something.
Are you happy to be, you've been in Frankfurt so long. Are you happy to be, you went to Berlin. That's pretty much all you did travel-wise, right? You went to Berlin once and that's it? The rest?
No, I was in the summer, I was a week here in Switzerland.
As well. Yeah.
I went to Italy for one gig in July. And I played like 2 gigs in August here in Switzerland.
Shame on you, Chris.
Shame on you.
I feel so bad. And in hindsight, I have to say there was absolutely no hotspot. There was no further infections because of those gigs. So everything went well.
Explain yourself, man. You don't have to explain yourself.
No?
Sorry.
Okay, thanks. That was kind of my last trips that I did. So I decided to have basically this view as the view in the morning when I get up.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So that was my view in the morning, and I kind of like, because I had so much to do in the past like 4 or 6 weeks, I guess, because I was cleaning out my stuff and everything. I didn't really realize that I'm going here until I packed, and it was just like, what's happening? And yeah, now I'm here. So it's and I open up the window in the morning. I'm like, I'm here. Yeah, great. Wow. So I'm basically setting up my studio here. The improvised studio, the same place that I had in Frankfurt, I'm going to do here. So yeah, just a different location.
All that equipment there. You took all your equipment from.
Well, I have
basic equipment.
I have some boxes here already, which I need to unpack. But I'm going to go back basic. I'm going to do another 2 trips to come down here. You know.
So this is the new home for time being.
That's the new home.
And
for
so,
time
are
being.
You're an, for people that know you, they know that you're an avid skier. You're pretty pro skier, right? You're one of those that likes to get dropped off at the top of a unexplored mountaintop via helicopter, and then you just find your way down somehow.
Only someone is
tell the stories.
Only if someone is in front of me who knows where to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in an avalanche?
Huh?
Have you ever been in an avalanche?
Yeah, I've missed one barely. Like it just shot next to me. I saw it coming. Got caught a little bit in it, and I was able to ski out of it. It was not a big one though, but if it caught me, it probably broken some bones maybe. But yeah, it was okay. I skied out. You know, you gotta be really fucking careful with that stuff, really. And from the amount of stuff we've been doing here over the past, I don't know, 30 years now. That one instance was already like giving you like the idea of like, oh yeah, right, you really have to be careful. But I always am. I'm around with people. There's a lot of friends of mine live here, and we're pretty safe. We're not risk takers. We're taking it easier.
And is
what's the?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the city where you're at now, is it the same one you were at earlier in the year? You did a stream from with.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, that's just up the mountain. Verbi is just up the mountain here.
Okay.
I can actually see that place. Like if you look down in the valley, I'm down in the valley here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. No. I just wanted to say thanks, guys, for last week's birthday wishes. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday again.
And sorry I couldn't be on the show, but I was listening because I was driving back from my kids, and it was a long drive and shit. It was great.
Yeah. I was gonna ask something about your skiing. Oh, okay. So what are the prospects for ski season right now? Amidst this pandemic situation, are they closing the slopes? Is skiing okay because it's this outdoor activity and everybody's masked up and wearing heavy clothes? And I mean, what's happening?
Well, Austria, I think, has decided to basically shut down all ski areas for the winter. Somebody has the clonk on, and Switzerland hasn't really. Switzerland has all these cantons, so there is no general rule here. But the Wallis canton, in which I am here, they gonna decide tomorrow if they might shut down for a week or two over the holidays, just to keep things down. But otherwise, I think they keep it pretty much open here.
So, Ali, where my sister lives in Morzine, which is in the French Alps, and I'm sure we can talk about this with our guest who's going to be coming on. It's completely closed. Everything's closed, and they're talking about opening the ski resorts or the slopes on the 10th of January, but all restaurants, bars, all of that kind of thing will remain shut. So, and of course, with Brexit looming and any British, Brits won't be able to leave the UK after the 1st of January. So, I mean, it's going to be a crazy, weird winter in the French or in the Alps in general, I think, for the ski scene. So,
Matt, are you going to be affected if there's no deal with the European Union? No,
I'm now a permanent resident of Germany. I've got my lifelong residency. So, we can cheers to that.
Wait, is the UK going on a lockdown for like a month or something, or what are they doing?
I think London is now in like tier 3 or something. So I don't live there. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's now back in lockdown. Yeah. But where my sister lives in France, again, like everything is shut. I mean, she lives in the middle of a very vibrant, very sort of busy ski resort, and everything is closed. But I mean, for her, it's great with this current lockdown. They can at least they can go out, so they can go hiking or randoing with the skins under the skis, which means they can. The mountains are open basically, which in the first lockdown they weren't. So at least like people like Chris, who are like who are as skilled on the mountain, at least you can go out if everything's shut, and you can navigate your way around. So
you just walk up the hill.
Yeah, exactly. But in the first lockdown, this was shut. I think in the entire Europe, they completely closed it. And it also has to do with the fact that in where Chris is or where my sister is, you can ski from France into Switzerland. You can cross borders, through the mountains. So this is of course a big deal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Morzine, where your sister is actually not too far away from here.
Yeah. I'd love to be there.
Maybe 30 for 50 kilometers, something. Straight line.
Well, Chris, where you are, you aren't able to. It's closed. This ski season basically is not happening where you are.
No, the ski area is open. It's really far away from you. No.
Yeah.
It's all open here right now, and they decide tomorrow if they're going to stay open. And I wait till tomorrow because I'm going to get a season's pass. I'm going to wait until tomorrow till they decided to do so. But nevertheless, it's good to be here. You know, I have a lot of friends here. It's mountains. You can walk up the hill if you needed to, and it's just like see something different than your own four walls at home all the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll pay you a visit. Let's see.
Barcelona is not too far away, dude.
I mean, I just had some recent gigs get canceled, potential gigs that I didn't think were going to happen anyway, but you know,
no one thought.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, talking quickly about the pandemic thing, I think we're heading into like probably the 2 worst months, and I heard a pretty straightforward thing yesterday, basically saying the pandemic will last as long as a majority of the public will be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So that's our timeline from now on.
So our fate is in everyone's hands. It's in humanity's hands, right? It's in whether 70%, 60 or 60% of the population.
70, they say 75 even.
70, 75 get vaccinated, and then we develop herd immunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading an article that was
good luck to us.
I was reading an article where they were predicting that the pandemic wouldn't even be coming to an end until 25 or something like that. And I think that just ultimately just shut me down with depression when I read that. I don't know how accurate that is, but it was certainly a prediction.
There's two new ones starting until then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to just keep locking things down? It's impossible.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like some of it's to scare people.
I got to get another beer, guys.
Well,
sometimes it's so depressing that you just got to laugh. Oh my God, who's that?
He's jumped on.
Guys are depressing.
Laurent, we tried not to go there, but
are you mad?
It's the last show of the year, you know.
Yeah.
Laurent, I just got a beer and suddenly you're on.
Yeah.
I know. I heard you go.
We were depressing him.
Laurent, so lighten things up for us. First of all, it's like an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on, and it's nice to see you virtually. But okay, you know, picking up from the depressing conversation that we just had, how do you find the light in all of this?
I don't. Quite frankly, I'm sorry. I'm quite depressed too.
Amen.
I don't look like it, but I haven't seen that many people. I mean, I live in a very, very small country village. I'm really far away from places. My son has been, going to school, so we've been driving him. Luckily, we've been driving him in the morning and at night, and he's quite far away. So weirdly enough, during all year, it's a pain in the ass, but now doing 1 hour drive is great. It's really nice. We get out of the house. But the choice of coming to live in the countryside is because we just wanted to get away from the major cities a few years ago. But we feel with my wife and my son that we're in a bit of in a golden prison. We're very lucky to be in a very busy place in smaller, in a busy city, in smaller apartments and stuff. But we have space here, but we see nobody. We see nobody because we're a bit isolated from people. I mean, the only guy I see all the time is Scanex, my old pal, which he lives 2 minutes away, from here. So I see him luckily nearly every day, but apart from him, no, we haven't seen that many people. So seeing the lights at the moment, I guess is as you were saying, is going to be after vaccination. I don't know what's happening in the countries where you are, but in France, they're going to start it quite soon, and it looks like my range of age. I will get vaccinated. I will be allowed to be vaccinated around May, something like that. Because before that, of course, they're going to do, all the people, nurses and doctors and of course, all these people. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a long time. And I have I have already people asking me to come and do gigs and stuff. They're talking about the summer. They're talking about September. I think September might be a bit of an option before that, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see it happening.
Yeah.
So my way of seeing the light, I've worked during lockdown. I worked on an album with a psychedelic rock band, French psychedelic rock band. We did an album together, and we're planning to do some sit-down concerts, which is going to be premiere for me. But we're planning to, go on the road with the band in May and do like maybe 8 or 10 concerts in sitting down places, because we know this is going to be the first places where it will be easier for us to go and perform and do something. Do a club, like a techno DJ show in front of sitting down people or in front of people wearing masks and stuff.
That doesn't interest you.
Doing that, it doesn't make sense, because the essence of what we do is promiscuity. It's create promiscuity, between people, and to have this close thing with people. So, I really thought a lot, and working on this album with his band. He's used to do big concert places and stuff, and I said to him, listen, we have to think other ways. So because the album is quite cinematic, we thought it would be nice to go in, maybe perhaps in sitting places, and do a few concerts in May and June. And if that works, and if things are getting better, we'll get the concert shorter, make it more, maybe more with more energy, and then we will be able to do other places. But at the moment, I guess I'm like you guys. I don't know where the fuck we're going. Mm-hmm. It's very hard. It's very, very hard to see the light. I mean, at the beginning, I was quite pessimistic. I thought it was going to be long, and I thought it was going to be until roughly now, the end of the year. But quite frankly, I didn't think it was going to be that long, I mean, now they're talking about May, June next year and stuff like that. I mean, all the clubs, I guess where you guys are is the same, but all the clubs are closed since March. There's nothing. And I know in France, the government already approached few of the big festivals, telling them, don't organize anything big next summer, because it's not going to happen. So I know the tour manager, the guy who sell bands, and even the people I'm talking to now, which they're new people, because they're like rock tour managers. It's very tough for them, because they have no visibility with what's happening.
Yeah. Are they getting any help? Is anybody getting any help from the government? Any of the venues?
I mean, I believe. Of course, not everybody, but from what the government keeps saying, and from what we see, because my wife is English, so we're having a look at what's happening in England and other countries. I believe that France is helping a little bit more people, from artists to restaurant and whatever. Of course, not everybody again, but I believe the government is trying very hard to help people out. But maybe not to the level of disaster, the disaster it creates.
Not over here. Our government has completely abandoned us.
Well, in the States, I know it's been very, very difficult. I'm actually glad your government will change very soon, and I guess a lot of us are. And perhaps things might change a little bit. I'm sorry?
Will it change?
Yeah.
Well,
$1 million question, as they say.
We'll see.
It can't go worse.
Yeah.
It can't go worse.
No, I mean, will it change? Will he ever leave? How do you get him out of the White House if he just says, I won the election?
It will. It can't. I mean, it's becoming a joke. It's a stupid joke.
Sadly, not to 60 million Americans. It's not a joke, sadly.
No, I know.
That's what the scariest part is. Like, the country is literally divided in half, and half the country,
That's what we get from here. That's what we see. But it's nice to know that the other half voted, and try to do something different, and hopefully
Definitely.
something positive will come out of it. So, there's two ways of seeing the thing. I know the glass is half empty, half full. Let's see the nice part of it and say perhaps positivity will come out of the new one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The beer is still definitely fuller than half.
Laurent, when did you decide to leave the hustle and bustle of inner city life for the country?
A long time ago. I left Paris 15 years ago.
Were you, was this a conscious, were you trying to escape something? Were you looking for mental clarity? Were you looking for physical space?
No, because I'm a very urban guy. I've always been very urban. I always loved the vibrant life of a city. But having kids, getting a little bit older, at some point you're looking back on your life and you say, okay, why am I here? I was in Paris. We were living in a very nice place, and with my wife, we were thinking, okay, what do we do here during the week when I'm not working? What do we do, and why are we in Paris for? And we liked restaurant is everywhere. We were going to a lot of cinema. Luckily in France, we have a lot of cinemas everywhere you go. Even in the village where I am, there's like a small indie cinema, which is absolutely brilliant. It's very small, only 100 capacity, but we go there all the time. We like going to see contemporary dance. I live next to Aix-en-Provence, where one of the best choreographers in France is, which is the guy called Angelin Prège-Locage. And Marseille is 50 minutes away. And quite frankly, I was living in the suburbs of Paris. And by the time I was driving to Paris, it took me an hour. So from here, I can do 50 kilometers and go to Marseille and be in the center of Marseille and go and watch a show. So we thought, we like the sunshine. My wife wanted to have horses because she's a horse rider. So we thought, why don't we just try and go somewhere and try the life outside of Paris? And if we don't like it, we come back to Paris. It's very simple. And we came here, and our son went to school, and we found great friends, and we have a huge community of friends here. And you know what? I actually enjoy Paris more now that I don't live there anymore. Because when I go there, I have a purpose to see as much as I can. So we look at the exhibitions we should go, and every time we go, we do a fuck of a lot of things, and much more than what we're doing living there. Yeah. And the rest of the time, it's a bit nicer to live in a countryside. But it's a choice I get when you get a little bit older. I did that when I was 40, not when I was 25. Yeah. And the life of DJing, we're very lucky because we get both sides of the thing. And, loving cities, I used to go to Barcelona, Berlin, London, and New York all the time. So I had my city share. It's fine. Yeah. But then when I was at home, it was. I find it nicer now, and I wanted my son to grow up in a more countryside environment because I thought it was healthier for him. And now he's looking for moving next year to England to carry on his studies and stuff, and he needs to do his life and he needs to have his city life. But you know what I'm sure he'll come back here after that. After a few years, having tried both of it, I think he will. That's what the kids do from here. They live here until a certain age, and then they feel bored because, of course, it's not the vibrancy of a city. Then they all leave. And you know what? After 10 years, all the kids come back here because it's a nice life. It is a nice life. There's one thing which you have in LA, which we didn't have in Paris. It's the sunshine. Yeah. Last week we had lunch outside. It was sunny. Yeah. And that makes a big difference, a huge difference in life. Like you in Barcelona, Ali. Yeah. Living in Barcelona is and you're only 5 hours away from me. I drive to Barcelona all the time, and I come to Spain a lot because it's around the corner from me. Mm-hmm. It's a different life. It's a different life to be in places like that. And Barcelona, you have the sea. And the great thing with Barcelona, you have the sea. It's a great city as well. Barcelona was the first choice for us. Wow. And then we stopped in France. We stopped in here. We stopped in the south of France. And we've been here 15 years, and I would not move back. I think I might move back to a city when I'll be much older, when I will just go to a city for entertainment, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, nothing else.
Laurent,
but now I'm super happy where I'm. Very happy.
You mentioned cinema. I can't help but feel, for anybody that's been fortunate enough to watch you DJ, the way you DJ, how you feel the music. You have your eyes closed, your head to the sky. You're obviously you're being transported, or you're transporting yourself somewhere else. How cinematic would you say DJing is to you? Do you know, how immersed are you in the cinema, in the visual of DJing? You know, you have obviously the sonic.
It's all about emotions.
Thing.
I guess
Yeah.
we're all the same. It's all about emotions. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about cinema is, I mean, I watch a lot of movies, and I'm very into images. I like images. I like films, and I like what I get in cinema is what I get from music. I like the diversity. Diversity makes things rich. You know, playing different kinds of music, playing longer hours, being able to go into all kinds of different directions is richer. You bring a much richer thing to the crowd. And I do found DJing very cinematic in a way, because we are using a lot of other people's music in the way we intend to, and I don't know, we're reusing it and making it our own story, which is really strange. It's maybe perhaps one of the only art form where we use everybody else's work and we making something with that all the time, unless you play live. But it's really strange to actually, of course you play a couple of your tracks, but we mainly play other people's music. And you tell a story with that as well. So you're changing the scenario every night. You know, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. But for me, if there's no story, there's no emotion, and without emotion, you can't take people on a journey, I think.
I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while now, and you're very known for these long sets, especially at Time Warp. You always have once a year even your own floor that you're playing at.
With Carota. With my friend Carota.
Yeah, right. And how would you say your musical style has evolved over the past 30 or 40 years, really?
I don't think it has. It's really, because at the end of the day, my roots is still where they were. And it's really funny how the confinement, the way I've been listening to music during this last 9 months where I haven't been able to DJ whatsoever. I actually refuse to do, I've been asked to do tons of live recording and stuff. And I thought, without the crowd in front of me, it would only be 50%. I understand why people do it. I totally understand. But for me, without the factor of having people in front of me, I'm lost. I'm lost. Especially if I'm filmed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's torture, to be honest with you. It's pure, I hate doing it, but sometimes, you know, in the case of Spy Bar recently that asked me to do something, or Movement Festival, I mean, these are friends whose, you know, clubs I play at every year, who are obviously being really, you know, terribly affected financially by what's happening, and you want them to be around when this thing ends. So you do what you can. But it's complete torture for me.
I totally understand. And the funny thing is, okay, there's two things I want to say. I'll tell you about the music I've been listening to for the last 9 months, which I think is very interesting. But besides that, in the last, I don't know if you guys know, but I've been running for like 17 years my own radio station. I have an online radio station called PBB, which I've been running for like 17 or 18 years. And 3 months ago, I decided, because I actually send the music somewhere, and we put together I put together PBB 17 years ago. So I went to see like a webmaster and I said, listen, I've been working radio station before. So what I need is a very small program where I'm going to put my music in bags. And then all you have to do is make this little program and we'll go and choose within an hour music that way. Bag 1, bag 2, bag 1, bag 4, bag 5. And each bag is different style of music. So it was very simple to do. And this guy has been hosting PBB, so I send him the music, via internet, but I can't interfere. If I want to stop the program and I want to play live as a DJ, I can't do it because the program is not at home. So 2 months ago, I felt so frustrated. I thought, fuck that. I'm bringing PBB back to my house. So for the last 2 months, because there's no work, I've been just working nonstop on this new version of PBB, which should be online by Saturday or Sunday. I'm doing the last test now.
Sweet.
And the idea is, as much as I said no to online DJ sets, I think I will do a DJ set on the radio.
Okay.
Only on PBB, only because they're not filmed.
Yeah.
And by the fact of not being filmed, I will feel much freer. And I don't know. I mean, I've always been a radio guy, and radio has always been where I discovered music since I'm a very young kid. So radio has a huge importance. It's very important for me. And I take this radio station very seriously. And then I've been re-listening to the 17,000 tracks which are on the radio station, to remake it really clean and nice and like a proper radio, online radio station. And I've been doing this just for the fact that I need to DJ. I need to go back to the decks.
Yeah.
But playing live with a camera was not the thing I wanted. So I had to find a way to do it. And I think by putting PBB back on, like the new version, I think I will surprise people and do like an Instagram thing and say, all right, tonight, 8 o'clock, I start DJing. If I play for 2 hours, I play for 2 hours. If I play for 5, I play for 5. And then we'll go with the flow, and it will be only about feeling, but without having the pressure of the camera. I don't have to deliver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I like sometimes about DJing, where you get to a room where nobody watch you anymore. It's just about the music and about the journey. And I think the radio is more accurate than cameras.
Well, Lauren, I mean, you listen to music through your ears, not your eyes, right?
I do.
We all do, but I mean, I think that was so great. Like I'm sure we're going to talk about your history, but when you were growing up, there was always this romanticism about music, because if you were into music and you're an enthusiast or you're a budding DJ or whatever, you couldn't watch a DJ. You would just read about them, or you'd read about the club, and you would imagine you'd have this concept of, or your own kind of perception of things. And this is what's maybe been taken away from us, is the sort of this romanticism of music, where you build your own picture, like Ali was saying about when you DJ, and or if you're creating a musical collage. This has kind of been taken away with just now everyone be able to see the DJ through these streaming platforms or whatever.
I think one of the big problem of now is the fact that the public decide when they film you and what they do with the images. We have lost the intimacy, being intimate with the crowd. I mean, I have had parties in the past where I got completely drunk, or the crowd went mental, and we have actually locked the doors of the club because we couldn't stay open anymore, and we thought, fuck it, it's 4 o'clock, the club needs to close, we don't want to go home. We locked the doors, and we stayed in there until 8, 9, or 10 o'clock in the morning, and whatever happened there stayed there. And I do miss these moments of pure intimacy where no one else will hear about it. You can tell stories, but you can't see images. And what I like about the radio, again, is the intimacy. You do listen to music with your ears, and you can, there's a whole kind of world of fantasy where you can you know, you can imagine where the guy is, how he feels, how, you know, why is he playing this record there and then. And this is why I found maybe playing live on a radio more exciting than DJing in the same room but with a camera, because we've been living for such a long time where people have camera on you all the time, and I actually now have to be careful to what I do, because if it's taken in the wrong way, you know, it can fucking blow out of proportion. And it's stupid. It's really stupid. So it's quite nice that we still have places with intimacy like the radio. And this is I want to keep it like that.
It's interesting. Somebody brought this to my attention one time. That, I mean, everything kind of starts off in a very innocent place. And I think one of the things about cameras and clubs and people filming things is, I think, especially for people who lived in a period where we didn't have cameras and you have all these memories of your past, I think people still want to capture some memory of the moment that they have so they can continue to relive it forever. And that's kind of like the beginning of why people bring cameras, but now it's just reached oversaturation point, and we don't need to capture every single minute of our lives every time we're doing something. So I can understand why people do it, because I mean, these are things you want to be able to relive and go back. And I can't believe I had this experience and show your friends and stuff. But
I agree, but they shouldn't have to share it all the time with the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. I mean, I have tons of pictures. I used to be somebody who used to make tons of pictures, and I do have pictures of every single moment of the last 30 years of my career. I got great, crazy pictures, but they're for me. And you know, there's some pictures I don't want to share because I shouldn't share them, because the crazy moments, and you know what, come to my house, I'll show them to you, but that's it. And we all have moments like that.
You especially don't need to be on the dance floor dancing with your hand up in your camera for like 30 minutes either. I mean, it's just
I mean, are you really gonna watch that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, Mo, it started out as like just wanting to preserve the moment for yourself forever, because you felt like
for your friends, but then that's it.
And then it evolved into, obviously, the platforms that we have today, and people doing it for all the wrong reasons, doing it to win likes and followers and all the other kind of things that have come with social media.
But I think we can all say as well, though, that, I mean, especially I think music was the memory for us, you know, the records from certain years bring back the parties that we went to, the friends that we were with, you know, because I think there was, especially for me, maybe in the early 90s, there were certain records that have this thing, you know, they definitely take you back. I mean, I've got records that have footprints on the inner sleeves where I played them in clubs, and I know which shoes I was wearing, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, it's not just us, it's everybody. The kids now listen to music, it will build some memories for tomorrow. That's power of music, you know. Whatever you're listening to, it will come back, it will hit you back. And the funny thing is, we were talking about the roots, okay? Beginning of lockdown, in March, April, I could not listen to techno anymore, because for me, techno has always been the music of tomorrow, always been the music that was looking forward. And when everything stopped, I could not see where the fuck we were going, and there was no tomorrow, because I didn't know what tomorrow was going to be all about. And all these guys bringing out so much techno, I was like, what's the point? I don't understand it. I don't understand all this now. So I stopped listening to techno for like maybe 2 months. I was listening to a lot of house, a bit more, you know, comforting music. And the funny thing is, by working with this psychedelic band, I actually went back into French music a lot, which I never did before. I've never been too much into text and French talking, but it was the time where I did. And the album is very French in that way. And this summer, I started listening to dance music again. And then for the last 2 months, I've been back into techno. But then again, saying that, bringing, you know, putting lots of new music on PBB. For the last months, I've been going back to my real roots, my kids' roots, which is disco, listening to a lot of salsa, you know, disco records, things I've completely forgotten. and I needed to put in my radio to actually, if somebody listens to it in 2-3 days, I want all this to be there because this is who I am. So to answer, I think it was Ali's question about my roots, I'm the same as ever. You know, disco had a very important part in my life as much as rock music.
Yeah,
it's still very much there. I still shiver when I listen to like proper, nice, emotional Detroit techno. When something is funky, even if it's harsh, if it's fun, I mean, what I'm looking for usually it's either the funkiness in music or the more trippiness.
Yeah. One thing that I've always appreciated and been inspired by in terms of how you play, I think diversity is your middle name. I also recall you saying in a Red Bull Music Academy interview once how boring it would be if you listen to one style of music, like only techno, and you only play techno, you know, how monochromatic, how boring that sort of would be. Diversity seems to be your trademark. I mean, when you hear an open to close set from Laurent Garnier, you're getting the full spectrum. And maybe the radio, what you do on radio is the other side of that.
The radio is way more open.
Yeah, radio, exactly. Way more.
It is much more in the radio because it goes from the Sex Pistols down to classical music, down to Africa and Latino and everything. I mean, basically, I created PBB because, I mean, like you guys, I have a big record collection, and I didn't like to see my records getting dusty on shelves. Yeah. So I thought it's some kind of an heritage, and I need to share that with people. Of course, they're not gonna like everything I play, but it doesn't matter. You know, I'm not forcing anybody, but at least I know a lot of people listens to PBB, and they come quite often because they say it just changes all the time, and we discover lots of stuff. We don't like everything, but we discover lots of stuff. And it's true, I'm a big reggae fan, so there's a lot of reggae. But then again, there's a lot of funk, a lot of soul, a lot of punk, and this is who I am. And I do think, yes, when you do a long DJ set, you need to travel. I mean, I don't believe any of you guys only listen to techno. No. You can't. Am I right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Of course, you're right.
You can't. It's like eating chicken every day.
Minor Threat. I love Minor Threat.
In McKay.
Yeah. But Laurent, I'm curious, how do you program the show? Do you, because we see all the vinyls behind you, are you digitalizing all the vinyls, or are you sending the vinyls in boxes somewhere, or what do you do? How do you do it
I did it all myself. I'm a very...
So you digitalize yourself?
I digitalized a lot of stuff. I mean, over the last 17 years, I've been feeding PBB for the last 17 years, nonstop. So this is why now there's 17,000 records. I mean, you can actually program a radio station. If you know how to program it with 500-600 tracks, you can make it sound very interesting. So having 17,000 is stupid. It's too much, because the other day I was trying to calculate when a track is coming back on a 24-hour basis. I think they come back every 6 months.
Okay. By that time, we're all vaccinated.
That time we're all out and nobody listens to radio anymore. So what's the point?
But you haven't done any streams. I'm just curious. Have you practiced DJing in the meantime?
No, I haven't. I haven't touched any turntable. But I'm starting to be. I mean,
how will it feel like if you do that radio show? How will it like? Will it be like jumping back on the bike?
Radio show. I mean, I don't want to do a radio show. It'll be more like, I want it to be instinctive in a way. I'm watching TV and I'm like, fuck it, I need to DJ. I just switch on the turntable, get on the mic and say, right, I'm live. Whoever is plugged in, you're lucky motherfuckers. And then I play. And then that's it. This is just the way I want it to be instinctive like this.
Yeah. I do, you know, I do my streams, and I did a lot of long streams actually, and I film myself doing it. But I most of the time did them for myself, obviously, and just to stay in practice as well. I just felt like this is a really cool practice, and while I do it anyways, I might as well broadcast it in the internet.
Well, the funny thing is, I think I must be the biggest fan of my own radio station. I mean, a lot of time I'm the only listener. But you know what? I don't care. because I know when I get the car in the morning at like 7 and I drive my son to school for 1 hour, I know when I play the radio, I know I'm going to listen to stuff I want to listen to at 7 o'clock in the morning, because now I've programmed it in a way where I'm very happy to listen to it. And then I've been as well during this like 8 months, I've been working in a restaurant, helping out a friend of mine in the kitchen in a restaurant. And again, I was making the program to fit the restaurant. It was really good fun.
And this is a Thai restaurant, right? Or the Asian?
No, it's not Thai. I mean, it's a French. It's kind of a wine bar. It's a very cool wine bar. And then the two chefs are Japanese girls.
Okay.
So yeah, we do a lot of Asian food, and I actually do Saturday whenever a restaurant open. I do Saturday lunchtime.
Amazing.
And I switch from one chef to the other. So I mean, basically, I'm learning. I'm just going there to learn, because I love Asian food. So I go there to learn and to not be inactive. I hate not doing anything. Drives me.
I wanted to ask you, Lloyd. So I mean, we could see in the background you've got loads of records, thousands of records, like you said, 17,000. I mean, are you still buying?
There's more than that.
But are you still buying records? I mean, I know, I send you music. I see you're very active with the promo calls. You're always responding and stuff. But I mean, are you actually sort of still buying like vinyl?
I still buy records, but I mean, now very much. There's a lot of blog as well. I mean, I guess we're all the same, but I have phases within music.
But are you on Discogs? Are you like an avid Discogs sort of buyer?
Not too much Discogs, no. No, I go to different places.
I think you pretty much have all the old
stuff. I have a list
anyway.
like that of blogs,
very
special, very specialized. Like if I'm looking for surfing music from the 60s, I know where to go. If I'm looking for music from Mali or whatever, I know where to go and stuff. But I listen to about, 300, 400 records a day, every day.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I get a lot of promo. That's the thing why I buy less music, because I do get a lot of promo. And
wait a minute, you listen to 300 tracks a day, every day?
Roughly, yes.
Well, how is this working with your brain and everything?
I've been doing that for years. Yeah. I mean, I think today I must have listened to 500 records.
Wow.
But this is my only way to stay alive. I mean, I was talking to my wife the other day, and she was saying, I understand why it's so hard for you, because she says music is not your work. Music is your life. It's true. That's the difference with some people who are, a bit depressed because they're locked down, because they don't have their work anymore. They don't have the action and stuff. And I don't have the action, but then on top of that, I can't share my love for music with people.
Yeah.
And it drives me fucking crazy. It drives me nuts. It really drives me nuts. So my only way to stay alive, and it's true, even on Sunday, my wife would say, can't you just sit down and read a book? Because I have my computer with a pair of headphones. And I'm like, no, I'm listening to music, but I'm listening to different music than during the week. Because during the week, I listen to promos, and on the weekend, I go to blogs, and I go, right, there's 1,000 new records from Africa, which just been, released on blogs. I need to listen to them all, or Brazilian music, and I go mental. It's a bit mad, but it's okay. It's okay. I survive.
Good
dedication.
Yeah.
How, like in your DJ sets being so diverse, did you ever take a really big chance on something that you just were not sure is going to work?
Sometimes I do.
Probably many, right? And it just
didn't... sometimes I do, and sometimes I queue like a couple of records. And I'm like, I don't know which one I'm going to do now. This is very cheeky. This is not that cheeky. Yeah. And then usually I go with a cheeky one. I try. I mean, Ali, we only DJ. We only play music. Yeah. And we only share a passion with people, with several hundred of people in a room. But nobody is going to die if we make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not that important. It is important because we're trying to do something coherent and to give the best of what we can do and share the best, with people, so they can go home and remember this party and cherish it for a long time. But at the end of the day, we're not politicians. We're not changing the world. We're not doing anything that huge. We're only playing music, and we can make mistakes. It doesn't matter. But I do sometimes, take risks. And usually when I have a friend, I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure about this one, but I will go for it. And usually it works.
But is this the same on the radio? I mean, when you play things on the radio?
Radio, I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, radio, you don't have to make people dance. There is no radio is total freedom. That's why I love radio so much. And radio allows me to play a lot of music. I would love to DJ. I would love to play as a DJ, but I can't, because at the end of the day, I have to respect the people who I'm playing for. So I can't be that stupid. But we should all take risks, but to a certain kind of guideline. But radio, no, radio.
But I think we could talk about your history and your like early days of DJing. But I mean, part of being like a resident was being able to take risks, right? I mean, I think when you're on the road and you're turning up at a festival and you've got an hour and a half or 2 hours, you pretty much, maybe most DJs will play what they know works,
No, but you can't really take risk in an hour and a half. But I've usually done much more club gigs than festivals or short sets. I like at least 3 hours is starting to be nice, because in 3 hours you can start bringing different things, and then between 3 and 5 hours it's pretty decent. And I think this is when you can start taking a bit more risk. Of course, if you play an hour and a half or 2 hours, there's no time, because it's going to be more about the energy than anything else. So you would play differently. But when you have 5 or 6 hours, and I think the time is very important when you're DJing. You don't play the same. I mean, you all know that we don't play the same stuff at 2 o'clock than when we play at 6 o'clock. And when you spend 5 hours with a crowd, this is the time where you can just go, hey guys, come on, let's just do something different. Let's just take a bit of risk. You have the old guys coming up and saying, hey, what are you doing? I don't understand. And you go, well, just have a drink, come back in 5 minutes, he'll be for you again, don't worry. I mean, we all have that. But you take more risk when you have time, of course.
I think it's fun too.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's fun too. Like when you do take that risk, even if it doesn't work with the crowd, you still have the people there that will be talking about that moment. Even if it didn't work, they're gonna be like, "Man, do you remember when you played that crazy record that like kind of the dance?"
Then again, it's only music.
Yeah.
You remember when you fucked up that badly?
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's a terrible thing, but people are still going to talk about it regardless.
I mean, one day, there was a club up north in England. I can't remember the name of that club. It was run by the guys from Eastern Bloc. Does anybody here remembers?
I remember the shop, but I don't remember the club.
Well, they were running the club up north like super hard. It was one of the only club in UK, not in Scotland, in UK, playing gabber and playing like really, really tough stuff. And the boss had enough, and he said to me, Laurent, I want you to come. And I'm like, no, because I don't play that hard. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I actually want you to bring different music there. And I was like, okay, I'll try. And it was a time where I was playing quite a lot of drum and bass in my sets. And he said, I would love you to play drum and bass. And I thought, oh, this is a bit risky, but I'll try. Anyway, one point I switch off the music, and then I play one track from the Beastie Boys, Intergalactic, the drum and bass version. Yeah. And I thought, this is not too risky because Beastie Boys, everybody kinds of respect. It's easier than going more into a real drum and bass thing. And this guy got a bottle of beer, smashed it, jumped on a DJ booth, and tried to fucking cut my throat.
Wow.
And I thought, I mean, it's only a record, man. And luckily the security guy saw him and, threw him out. So I went to see the boss and I said, listen, I'm well into trying to change things, but to get killed for a record, fuck you. I'm not coming back. And I never been back to that club.
Wow.
But it sounds like your most risky record you ever played.
Well, it isn't. It actually isn't.
No, there was a worse one, worst scenario.
I have a feeling there's a lot.
It's not risky to play Beastie Boys. Come on. It's not risky to play Beastie Boys.
Laurent, how do you prepare yourself? What's your open to close set ritual? You don't have one, because I like to have a roadmap. So I'll create a playlist. I'll know what songs I want to play in what order. And obviously when you're there and you're in the moment and you're responding to how the people are feeling the music, you can go off that, off in different tangents. And then you still have that roadmap that you kind of paved for yourself that you can return to.
I don't at all. I actually, I classify my music by, how can I say, intensity. So I have, like my radio, I have different bags. I know bag number 1 is the deeper melodic techno. I know bag number 2 is the more music con cojones, with a bit more balls.
Yeah.
I know bag 3 is more trippier and more minimalistic. I know this bag is more bass music, electro and stuff like that. And I have house, I have deep house. And within these bags, I know it's going to be really weird what I'm saying, but I classify them by months.
Okay.
So it's very strange. So I have on my USB stick, I have all these 8 or 9 different categories of styles of music, colors of music.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, they all classified by months or every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that, I must take about maybe 1,500 tracks with me each time I go and DJ with the new stuff. I'm not talking about classics. And basically, when I used to go and do a gig, I listened to everything the day before, the day of the gig, the day after the gig, every day. On the gig, I listen to every single record I have very quickly, but just to remember what I have. So when I go somewhere, my head, because I usually go to sleep before I go and DJ. This is like a thing I've been doing for 10 years. I always sleep 2 or 3 hours because I know my head works better when I'm not tired. So I wake up and then my brain is kind of alert, and then I kind of know what I have. And I find my record much easier that way. And I build set like that. But because
what about that opening record? Like, do you know what that opening record is? Because the opening record,
I never do, because if I play after somebody, I don't know what the guy's going to play before me. And again, there must be some kind of either a big break and then you go somewhere else, or you follow him. So I never know. And you know what? Every time I've been trying to find an opening record and I've been sticking to it, it's been a mistake. Yeah. So now I very, very rarely select an opening record. I just go in a room half an hour before I play, listen to what the person does and try to fit or not fit, because I like or I don't, but I try to do something there and then. No, I don't really prepare, because the only few times I did like a file, a folder, and say today, and I put like loads of tracks, and today was the exact copy of my USB stick with everything else. There was a fucking 1,000 track in my today thing, so it didn't make any sense. So I thought today is what I have with me, and I have a lot. I have far too much. I like the time where we had record boxes, because you were only taking 200 records with you.
Yeah.
And whenever you were putting one in, you had to put one out, which I don't anymore. So I kind of, my box get bigger and bigger, which is weird.
Well, I think also, when going back when we had record boxes, I think people or DJs, I think maybe knew the records much better, maybe, because these days we can go through so many, and so many things can come and go. Like you said, you have to take the record out. Now it's just a file. But maybe if you were touring with a box of records and it was 50 records, they were your records, And
I agree that the records you were choosing had a bit more importance, because you only had space for 200 records. So there's no this one is you can go in between those two. It's okay. It's an in between track. We didn't.
I think Sven was still doing this, right? I mean, he chose his records for the season.
Sven has 5 records.
Yeah.
I think we need to clarify for the younger generation that when we talk about record box, it's not a software.
Very true.
It is actually a box. It's a box with records.
Come on, there's a lot of young kids still playing vinyl.
Yeah.
Yes, they do know that.
And
Chris,
you know,
Chris,
the earlier
Chris, I have a
days.
question. Do you remember this? Chris, do you remember this?
Hold it in the camera so I can see it. JP, I honestly no.
It's a German wine.
Oh wow!
It's a German wine.
Do you remember this? Because we have drunk a hell of a lot of it together.
That's probably why I don't remember it.
This was and it's quite funny you were talking about time work, because this was the wine that Stefan during his wedding. This was the wine.
Oh my God, the wedding! No fucking way. Guys, this wedding, Laurent, you got to talk about this wedding, because the wedding, when Stefan Charles, the promoter of Time Warp, had his wedding, there was this wedding DJ playing who was really, really good, actually. And there was Laurent Garnier dancing crazy on the one side, the Carl Cox dancing there, Sven dancing there, everybody in the middle, and everybody drinking wine. I didn't remember the wine brand, but I remember that night so well. It was just an amazing night.
After that wedding, I ordered 250 bottles of that wine. And this is the last one. I'm finishing.
Oh my God. And you're finishing it on the show for us. That's so nice.
Finishing this today is my last bottle.
Wow, what an honor! I mean, it's an honor for us to have you on our show here, on our last show of the year. But Laurent, I went through some lists. We'll talk about old stuff. I went through some lists, and because I cleared out my basement in the past weeks, and I came across a list where we had the list of DJs that Pauli and I had in our radio show at HRXXL Pitch Control, and you were there multiple times, but you were there last time. Or I think it was the first time you were there in October 2000 in our radio show. So that's over 20 years ago. Could you quickly recap these 20 years for us and include your book Electroshock, which
I think
came at some point too.
Already recapped for it.
Hey, nice.
Okay. Can you quickly recap those 20 years for us before we head into, because that would be my next question, before we head into the earlier times, because we have a lot of viewers who maybe want to know your beginnings, and we want to talk about Hacienda and stuff like that. But let's first start with the past 20 years. Recap. 60 seconds.
Hey, come on. Ali can talk about the last 20 years.
I think the best recap is contained in these pages. It's an amazing book, and thank you for signing it for me, Laurent.
We've been very lucky because we've been doing what we love doing. We've made some amazing friends. We've been to amazing cities. You know, we have a great life. We had a great life before fucking COVID. I don't know. It's just such a great thing to be able to express yourself, and people love what you do, and you can share that with people, and you can do it with real honesty, without selling out, without bullshitting people. I think honesty is a very, very important thing in this job, and I think because why we guys still here is because we've been very honest to what we love, what we play, what we like, how we like to share it. And I think we're honest guys. Yeah. But the last 20 years has been amazing, because I guess I went from being a young up and coming DJ who tried to help the French scene to develop, because it was not very easy in France. It was quite difficult back then, to becoming some kind of one of the godfathers of the scene in France. And there was like between 2000 2010, I thought it was not a very exciting moment in France, because the clubs were not that good. There wasn't that many people making music, and from 2010 onwards, I'm talking about France here. From 2010 onwards, new clubs opened in Paris. I don't know what happened, but tons of things happened in France, and France became absolutely vibrant amazing producers, from deep house to electronica to drum and bass to techno to very hard techno to completely screwed up, funky techno shit. We've had them all, and so many clubs everywhere in France, not just Paris. And all this young generation coming in the scene kind of accepted me as much as I was old compared to them. Mm-hmm. They accepted me as like, this figure who was there before and tried to bring it to France. And they were very, there's a good word in France who says bienveillant. Do you understand that, Chris? Bienveillant?
I still need to learn some French here now.
I don't know how you translate it to English. They're looking after you in a very positive and in a very nice way. They're looking at you in a very positive and nice way. There's no eagerness. There's nothing bad about that. And they kind of installed me into a really nice position where I could carry on doing what I do and not looking like an old twat. I've always been scared because we are, when I say techno is the music of the future, I always been scared to become a bit of an old, dusty jukebox. I've always been very careful not to only play classics, not to be the guy who just plays the old records. I like playing some of them once in a while, but more like a cherry on the cake, because I think there's so many great producers nowadays. There's so much great music nowadays that techno have still to look to what's happening now and to promote to the new stuff. So I do play a hell of a lot of new records. Again, with all the production nowadays, I feel very much at ease because I feel like I know the music these guys are making. I'm talking about the youngsters as much as you all guys. The lot of you. I understand the music you do, and I feel like I understand the music of the young generation completely. Even though it's, I'm sorry?
You should, Lauren. I mean, I see what you're into. I mean, there's no, that whole ageism thing within or sort of like music culture. Yeah, it's always looked upon as being youth culture, but I mean, my favorite album of Richie Sakamoto was his last album, and I think he's 60 or something.
I know, but he's an exception. He's an exceptional.
No, but there's no reason why you. It's always that people are saying, "Oh, you're an old man."
But then again, we have to be aware of what we do, and that we do cater for much younger generation than our age.
For sure.
I don't know how old are you, Mr. Truncate, but you must be younger than us.
I'm 39.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But we do cater for younger people. I mean, now, the kids who I play for mainly, they could be my kids.
But I mean, Lauren, when you go back to we haven't really touched on your musical past, in the UK or whatnot. But I mean, surely some of the DJs that you aspired to when you were younger, they weren't young men anyway. Maybe they weren't or were they? Or who were the people you were aspiring to when you started out?
In England, Mike Pickering, Graham Park.
Yeah.
Then the first day I saw Derek May, I thought I saw the lights. Then I got to see what's his name? One of the first guys from Chicago I saw was Joe Smooth. I still have a tape here of Joe Smooth playing at the Hacienda. We played together, and I mean, we had Joe Smooth, man, Promised Land. I mean, the guy was next to me playing all these disco records I never heard before back then, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. But I don't think they were that old. There must have been. I was what, 21, and there must have been 25 or 28. I mean, I think when Pierre started, he was very young, or all these guys were very young. But then now, when somebody is 20 years old, comes in the scene and makes techno music, he's making music that belongs to his father's generation.
Yeah.
which has changed the game a lot, you know? I mean, my son is 16 years old and he listens to house music and he plays me a lot of great records. I mean, I discovered tons of music through him. And it's funny because it's like he loves house, like quite soulful house. But if I would play him Masters at Works, he would look at me and go, "It sounds a bit dated." Well, it's true. He's right. But I'm sure within 3 or 4 years he will understand it. But it's true, the stuff he plays, and I mean I actually steal some of his records. I'm like, what's this? Send me the reference. I need this. I need to play this because this is going to kick some ass. But he listens to a new form of house music. But I understand the music entirely because it's not that different from 20 years ago. So I feel very much at ease listening to the music that the younger generation is listening to, because there isn't such a big change. There's no big change in the music that what we're listening to, you know. Perhaps tomorrow when something completely fucked up and different will come, I feel old and feel like, what the hell is this? I don't dig it. But at the moment,
but can you take us back to like the Hacienda? I mean, can you compare like a sound system in the Hacienda to a sound system today? Was it more the vibe, or was it the whole thing? Like, you know, when the Ministry had the analog system,
Hacienda didn't have such a good sound system.
And maybe let's first explain to the people what Hacienda actually is and was.
Okay, guys, watch 24-Hour Party People, and then you will understand what Hacienda was. Hacienda was a club in Manchester, iconic club in Manchester, which was run by New Order, partly New Order, and this TV presenter he used to present the news, called Tony Wilson.
Yeah.
But wasn't Factory Records also involved?
Yeah.
Factory Records was the record company of the owners of Hacienda.
Right.
And then behind there was another guy called Rob Gretton as well, which was behind Factory Records. And basically, they opened Hacienda after a trip to New York, when I think they discovered Studio 54, or I don't know which club in New York, and they came back.
I think it was the Roxy as well. They've been to the Roxy.
I don't remember which one they've been, but they must have seen some shit hot New York crazy gay club, and then they came back to Manchester again. You want the same here, but Manchester is not New York. So they opened the club, and I think they lost money for the first 6 years, and the arrival of house music completely changed it all. So saying that, there was a huge sound system, but Hacienda was like brick walls. There was a glass roof. So it was the worst acoustic place, but the vibe was amazing. And then, you know, the history of house music with the arrival of ecstasy, you have to understand, I mean, we're in a country where it's very difficult. It's the Thatcherism, you know, Thatcher is in the power. She tries to separate people. I mean, the policy of Thatcher was to divide people. And then house music was all about bringing people together. So there's a new music coming in a country where, especially up north, in a country where it's extremely hard, the unemployment is huge. The music's coming, the drug is coming, it's fresh, it's young, it's new.
So how did a young French man named Laurent manage to sneak behind the decks there?
I was living in Manchester because I was working in a restaurant, and then I was working in a restaurant in Manchester. But then I was going out every night. My only dream was to DJ, because the only thing I was doing with the money I was making in the restaurant was buying records. So you know, I've been buying records since the age of 12, and I've been collecting records since I'm 12. And since I'm 12 years old, every single dime I had, I was spending it on records. So I went to England, of course, because England was the mecca for a Frenchman to go and buy records. I went up north because was living with a girl, and from up north. So I went up there. I had a good job opportunity in a restaurant, and I was going out every night at the hacienda. And I met the light guy, and I was giving tapes to him because I was making tapes to all my friends. And of course, a good tape went into the right hand at the right moment. So the hacienda wanted to do a new night on Wednesday, and they were searching for a new DJ. And then my friend at the light said, "Oh, I got this tape from this guy. He looks quite cool." And then he contacted me. I did another tape, and then from one tape, I got my job. Wow. And I have my tapes here. They're all here. And I've got all the tapes from the hacienda here. They're all down there. Wow. Yeah. I'm somebody who keeps things. This is the heritage for my boy.
Yeah.
Laurent, how hard was it for you to recap your life in this book?
It was not, because the book, I worked with a journalist called David Brun-Lambert. David is a really, really good guy. He's a big, can we say, investigator? He digs deep.
Investigative reporter or something. Yeah.
He digs deep, and he knows his shit about music. I mean, he wrote the most beautiful book on Nina Simone. He's a music lover. And we worked for 2 years. Every single week, every Wednesday for 2 years, he came to my house, and we did like 4-hour sessions of talking. And basically, he drafted some kind of a schedule. We're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about that, blah, 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 blah. And whenever we were doing like a subject for 4 hours, of course, there was a lot of information there. It was telling me, "Oh, you started talking about this, think about it. Next week, we're going to go deeper into this." And because I kept all my tapes, but I kept all the flyers, and I kept all my diary. So I have every single date of where I was 25 years ago. I know exactly. I have my diaries. So it was easy to remember places, and by remembering places and having loads of pictures, it was, as I was saying, before I have pictures, it was kind of easy to come back to subjects. And working with a journalist was helped me a lot to bring back a lot of memories. So we did the first release of the book in 2003, and then a lot of things happened between 2003 for the 10 years after that. So we decided in 2013 to do a new chapter. So we approached the edition company and the publisher, and they said, "No, if you want to do one chapter, you better do a bit more." So we actually add 6 chapters, which makes the book you have in your hand, because that's the second edition, which is with 6 chapters more, which covers 10 years more. So it goes for like 25 years or something like that.
And what was the catalyst for this? Like, and how did you, like, why did you want to do it? And because there's not many of us in the scene that would think to do something like this, because it seems like it would be kind of a daunting.
I didn't want to do a book. It comes from a very, very, how can I say, a dinner in my house with him and his girlfriend at the time, which was a huge publisher. And we got extremely drunk, telling our life stories. And I don't know, they had some amazing stories, and we were laughing. And then at one point, I started telling stories about, being on the road and stuff like that. And she goes, "Laurent, you have so many memories. You need to write a book." And I'm like, "No, I don't." And she says, "Yes, you need to write a book." And I said no to her. I said, "No, I don't want to do a book. It's really not my interest." And she actually proposed it on a meeting where she works. And the big boss of Flammarion, which is a huge publishing company in France, went, "I think we should do it." So she called me back and she said, "Listen, I proposed. Now the stuff is in your hand, but the big boss wants to do it."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, if we do it, we have to do it, in a special way. It needs to be good. It needs to be deep. We need to do it with the right journalist." And at the beginning, I was not. The idea was not to work with a boyfriend. But then it became like sense, to do it with him. And I'm very glad I did it with him, because because it was great to work with him. And it kind of became some kind of therapy. You know, when you talk about your life for like 2 years with someone who digs super deep, it brings a lot of memories, and then you asking yourself tons of questions. Why did I choose to do this? Why was I really into this music? I mean, what's the roots of all this? You know, why the radio? Why I went into more black music than white in a time where there was, you know, it was difficult to get records and stuff. It was very interesting, very, very interesting to dig quite deep. And he wrote a lot more on the first part of the book than on the second part. Because the funny thing is, working with him kind of eased me up with the fact of writing, because I never used to write before. And he kind of helped me a lot to start getting a pen and writing things. Now I'm much more into write. I quite like writing, you know, letters or writing things. I do like writing now, which I didn't before.
It was also great that you traced the roots of the electronic music scene in France, you know, and who all the players were, for a lot of people that maybe didn't know.
Well,
that was that something that was something you felt like you needed to express as well? You being the elder statesman, sort of.
We knew the book was going to come out first in a French company. So yeah, we had to tell the story about France. But then again, when we started talking about Berlin, we went all the way till the Second World War, with the swinging, you know, with the swinging kids and the people who used to listen to jazz in the cellars and hiding from the Nazis because they were not allowed. And same when we spoke about Manchester up north, we had to talk about the Northern Soul scene, because there's a very strong link between what happened during the Northern Soul years up north and the rave scene. I mean, basically the rave scene was exactly the same as the Northern Soul movement 20 years after. So yeah, we had to dig deep into history of things, you know, to get a bigger picture than just talk about techno. You know, of course we wanted to concentrate on the music we love, but then again, as we all know that the roots of techno comes from a lot of different styles of music, we had to dig a little bit deeper to tell the story. And I think it works. I think the book works.
And is there a part two? I heard, maybe I read somewhere.
No, you have the thing you have
extra
is
chapters.
No, now the thing that comes out, it should come out early next year. There's a documentary. I've been working on a documentary for 4 years. The documentary is done now, but because of COVID, we finished it in May, but we haven't been able to show it properly. So there's a documentary coming out next year. Same kind of story, but then a bit more on you know, my life, but again with the rest of the world of that, you know, around that music. And that should, I mean, apparently it should come out in a cinema in France in March or April. I know Canal Plus have signed it, and I know Arte have signed it, meaning it's going to be in France and in Germany. And the distribution companies signing deals a bit everywhere with the documentary. So the documentary is called Off the Record, and that should be, you know, not in cinema, but I think we're going to do it's going to be in a few cinema in France, but only for a few days in March or April. But then after that, we should do some festivals with that, and then we'll see the life, you know, the documentary is going to have.
That is a pretty cool name for a documentary. That's funny. That's never been used before. Off the Record. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is very off the record. And
yeah.
The guy followed me. The guy who filmed it followed me for 4 years. So he's got some key moments. He's got some very, very, very beautiful moments. It's nice. It's quite intimate. I'm very happy with it. Very happy. Should be good.
Wow. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And how involved were you in the making of, like, did you try to let the filmmaker tell the story, or without involving yourself too much in the narrative or how it was pieced together?
When I actually chose the guy. I mean, I've been asked a few times to make a documentary, and each time I said no, because I was telling them, if it's just to do a film about me, myself, and I, it doesn't interest me. Yeah. We need to be a bit deeper than that. That was the first reason. And then the second reason was, I need to know the person. I mean, I'm a very family guy. In a way, I keep my friends for a long time. I don't consume people and say goodbye. Yeah. I've been working with the same people for the last 30 years. My manager, my agent, the crew who are behind me, who are with me, they're all the same. Christian was the guy who did my bookings. He did it for like 25 years. He's the ex-boss of the Rex, my story with the Rex Club. And then when Christian decided to stop last year, I went to work with Mika from Sonar, and Mika, I've been working with him for 20 years. Same, I work with Georgia, who's a very old friend of mine from Sonar. Eric, who I run F Communication with, we've been working together for like 25 or 30 years. Scanex is my sound guy. We've been together for 30 years. I like working with family and building strong things with people. And I thought, if I had to share my life with someone, I have to feel good with him. I have to feel good with the person. So I've kind of said no to a lot of people who came to me. But then I met a guy 7 or 8 years ago, because I co-run a pop rock festival in the village where I live in the south of France. And this guy came and started making little films about what we do in the festival. And I really liked his approach on music. I love the way he was filming music. He has something really amazing, the way he films music. And he's really a techno guy. He doesn't know the story about techno. He's more like a Georges Brassens lover, Serge Gainsbourg lover, songs and pop rock, but then he's not a techno guy, and I like that. So I approached him and I said, listen, I love your work. I've been asked to do a documentary. Would you actually like to come with me on the road, and we do like a weekend? You film a couple of gigs and we see what we come out with. And he did. He came with me and he filmed. And again, I really saw the poetry in his images. I really loved the way he was filming it. He was filming gigs and stuff like that. So I said to him, listen, would you like to do the documentary with me? But then when I choose someone, I want them to do their own work, because I choose someone for something. And I liked his poetry. I liked the way he was filming things. I liked the way he was different than any other, things I saw about music. So I let him completely film the way he wanted to. The only thing I said to him, I said, I'm here to pick up my phone and help you with anyone. If you need to talk to anybody, I'll pick up the phone and then I'll do it for you. So we'll get whoever you want. So I helped him. I opened the doors to him. And of course, he showed me a scenario, and then we spoke together. But I didn't get involved for like 4 years. But then when he started to put the film together, because he didn't have the experience that a proper filmmaker would have, because he only made short films before, I kind of got involved quite a lot with him and the producer as well together. We came to help him out to get the film a bit stronger. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, no, it's his film. It's not my film.
And that'll be coming out in 2021 then?
Yeah, for sure. It's finished. It's done.
Sweet.
And we had an amazing Kickstarter campaign. Amazing. And we luckily with a Kickstarter, we've been able to make a very, very elegant film. And the people from Kickstarter, they all saw the film already. We sent them a private link and they all saw the film. That's the only people who saw it. But yes, it's coming out very soon. It's done and it's coming out very soon. Yeah.
Something more to look forward to in 2021.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's a cool thing.
Laurent, I have another question. You obviously started as a DJ, but at some point you got into producing, obviously, since you're responsible for some of the biggest techno classics ever out there. I'm just mentioning Man with a Red Face, Crispy Bacon. One of my favorites is actually Wake Up. Wake Up, I Wake Up is just, I made an edit which I still play today. How did that work? Did you also have the feeling at some point, I'm tired of just playing other people's music. I have a vision that I want to play this now, so let's make it.
No, Chris, I am truly entirely a DJ. I am a DJ. I make music for fun. I hate the pressure of making music. I did Crispy Bacon. The funny story about Crispy Bacon is I'm not too much of a geek. I'm not too much into gear and stuff like that. And I don't really understand all this technology thing. I'm really bad with it. And one day I was tired of it. So I called Stefan, Scanex, same guy again. And I said, Stefan, you must come to my studio. You must explain to me what is a release, what is a filter, what is this and what is that. I couldn't understand. I was just touching knobs and I couldn't understand fuck all. And then he came to my house, and then I by the time I bought an effect called a DP4, which is like 4 different effects in old school effects. And there's in the DP4 there's an effect called the inverse expander. So it kind of brings up whatever is low. I still don't understand exactly how it works. But anyway, we worked on that day with that particular effect. And he said to me, look, if you have something quite dirty and there's a little bit of, sound behind it, it will bring it up and make it sound funky. And I'm like, okay. And he said to me, it's very much like underground resistance, and this is the word you should never say to me. Underground resistance. So he left home at like 7:00 at night. And then I switched on my JD800 and I went, I'm going to show you fucking underground resistance. And I did the bass line of Crispy Bacon. Okay. And I did this track overnight, and Stefan came for my next lesson the day after, and I had half of the track of Crispy Bacon. And I said to him, listen to my underground resistance thing I did last night. And I did it just because we worked on that effect, and I did this track. It just came out like that. As much as I take my music a bit seriously, it's true. For me, the music I always kind of did it for fun. As much as the first day I did my first, and there's this story in the book, Ali, you must have read it, but the first record I released, I met Derek May in Paris, and I mean, I absolutely love his music so much. I met him and I gave him my record, and I felt so bad giving music from me. I mean, to this guy, I felt so little. So,
and this is Acid Eiffel, right? You're talking about?
No, it's before Acid Eiffel. I gave him that record, and I said, listen, I made this record for fun. And Derek looked at me and said, what? You never make a record for fun. That day, I took my music a bit more seriously. But, no, I'm deeply, deeply a DJ because I love playing out for people. Yeah, when I make music, I kind of make music for me. This is why some of my stuff has been kind of up and down. Maybe I know some of my production are not very well mixed. Some of it sounds weird. Some of my records could be a bit more eclectic, a bit too eclectic and stuff like that. I think I've kind of I don't consider myself as a musician whatsoever. But I kind of became more serious with my production much later on.
But could Laurent, could you give us? I mean, for me, like Acid Eiffel is for me. It's like it's the early morning panorama bar, shutters up. I mean, for me, I get the most pleasure playing that record in those moments. I mean, could you explain that record, how it came about? Like, what was?
It's a perfect track to go to the bathroom and take a piss with.
Yeah, and I usually play it when I need to go.
If I put that on, I want to stay in the booth. I don't want to go for a beer.
At the time, I was working very closely. I was working with Ludovic Navarre from Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
and Shaz as well, which Shaz used to be an artist on Fnac, and then after that F Communication, which was a one label I was running, and we were making an EP with Shaz. We had this idea of making an EP with Shaz under the name of Choice, and we had already made 4 or 5 tracks, which are on the original EP of Choice, and we knew we wanted another track, and because we didn't have the gear, I didn't have any gear in my house, and Shaz had very, very little gear. We needed to go to Ludovic Navarre's place, and he used to live in a small suburban place outside Paris called Chatou. So we drove to Ludovic's place, and I remember that night it took us like 3 hours to get there. There was a huge traffic jam, and when we got to Ludovic's house, we were fuming. I don't know what happened. We were like that. So we switched on the machine, and we couldn't talk to each other. We were so fucking pissed off. So Ludovic was on the 909 going like this, and then Shaz was like playing the keyboard, and I was on the 303 like tweaking knobs like this, and we made the track very, very quickly, and
out of anger and frustration.
Because I think for people who don't know the track, I mean, it's for me, it's one of the most kind of emotive. It's a very powerful piece of music that you can play. It's emotive and emotional, and it has so much character. Where you can play it you can play it in an intro as a set, or you can play it in the middle of a set. You know, it's a very powerful piece of music. You know, and I think it sort of set the tone, and it had that sort of. It crossed over from this Detroit sound to the European sound, you know. Of course, Europe, you know. So yeah, I love it. So
okay. So just to finish, so back then, you know, we couldn't record in the same equipment that we use now. So we were, I don't know how you guys were doing, but I guess we're doing the same. We were recording live. You know, I mean, we had like a mixer, and then there was just loop, and we were just building the track. Every single track I did until I think when did I start recording properly? Like now, it must have been when I did Man with a Red Face. But before that, we were just doing the mix live. So we were muting, unmuting, and doing the shit like this. So we did one version and we didn't like it. So we kind of said, all right, each to his own instrument. So Shaz was on a really shitty DJ mixer, which had some really weird EQ on it, and we sent the hi-hats on the DJ mixer, and we said to Shaz, all right, work with the hi-hats, you know, use the EQ on the hi-hats. I was on the 303 and Ludovic was on the 909, and we just build the track like that. So there was, I mean, Acid Eyefall is just a kick, a couple of percussions. There's a string, there's a well noise like this, and a 303. So there's not very much. So I had a headphone on my own like this, doing the 303. I couldn't see Ludovic and I couldn't see Shaz. Shaz was like kneeling on the floor trying to do his EQ like that. And then Ludovic was next to his 909 fucking around. And we recorded the track. And then when it finished, we all looked at each other and Shaz went, I think we've got something. So we played it again. And at the end, when we played it, Shaz was crying. And we all looked at each other going, oh my God, I think we do have something nice. So we drove back home. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. We drove back home and we did it on a Tuesday night. I remember very well because the Wednesday I had my radio show on a French radio station, which is called Radio FG, which is a gay radio. And I had a radio show there. I had a radio show every Wednesday. So I rang Eric, which was my partner on Fnac back then. And I said, Eric, we did this track last night. I'm going to play it on the radio, and then you tell me what you think. So Eric was at home listening to the radio. I played Acid Eiffel. Eric rang me and said, I think it's a good track. Let's play it tomorrow. And on Thursday, every Thursday night, I had my night at the Rex Club. So we brought a DAT machine, and I played, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I stopped the music and played I couldn't mix it with a DAT. So I pressed play on the DAT and played the whole 13 minutes like this.
Wow.
And at the end of the track, the right end of the track, there's this kind of whale sound.
Yeah.
And the whole room applauded, but nobody knew what track it was.
Wow, what
and
a
we
moment.
all looked at each other, and Eric said, we sign it tomorrow. And this is how we signed Acid Eiffel,
So it was signed to F Community or F.
It was Fnac.
Fnac before it went to Transmat.
Yeah, of course. And then Derek came to play because Derek came to play. All the Detroit guys came to play a lot at the Rex, and Derek heard it and he said, I want it on Transmat. And because we had done a deal.
I always thought it was the other way around.
And as well, we had a strong connection because Ludovic Navarre did a remix of Suburban Night.
Yeah.
Because Ludo had a techno band
remix.
Saint-Germain. And
The Art of Stalking.
Exactly. He remixed the Art of Stalking, and we already had a deal with Derek, so it was easy to do the Fragile release with Acid Eiffel. But the funny thing is, back then I had a record shop. I was working in a record shop, and when we released Acid Eiffel on Fnac, we didn't sell any at all. People were not interested. And then when it came out on Fragile, as the grass is always greener outside, people went, oh, it's on it's on a Detroit label, and then people started to like it.
So Lauren, can you explain? You said you were playing off like a DAT tape. You weren't cutting like dub plates in the early 90s.
No, this was a very English thing.
Really? Oh wow, okay.
There you go, Matt.
So you weren't playing with reel to reels like the Yanks.
No. No, it's funny. When DJ Pierre was coming to play, he was always bringing a cassette. Right, and he had this cassette machine with a pitch as well. So he could fucking mix cassettes in records. It was quite amazing. No, when we had new tracks, we were playing that.
Wow.
Yeah, we were playing it on that.
But they must have sounded, for anyone who does, DAT machines, DAT tapes sounded, they were amazing, right? It was amazing.
Until they were going, yes.
True.
But it's funny because some people were sending us DATs, I remember Mark Spoon did a track one day, which was a very long track, and it started kind of techno and finished quite fast. I can't remember which track it was, but I played a lot of it, and the first time I played it was from a DAT. Very strange. Yeah, we were playing DATs. We were playing a lot of DATs. Of course.
But Laurent, sorry, David.
I just wanted to ask, what gave you the idea to do the Acid Eiffel live with the orchestra when you did that on TV?
Oh, because you've got to understand, this ceremony is an award ceremony, and it was a time where techno music was really regarded extremely badly in France. The politicians and the police were trying to close every single parties and stuff. So this ceremony is every year. And it was the very first time in the history of this ceremony that they were gonna reward a dance album. So there was 5 nominees, and I was one of them, but we didn't know who won. They never tell you who wins. And if you're not in the room, you're discarded, and then they don't give you the award. So I had a gig on that night. I was supposed to play at I Love Techno in Belgium. And I had to go to the ceremony. And if you win, it's like not an Oscar, but if you win a victory of music, they call it. If you win it, you have to perform live. That's the deal. If you accept to go there, you have to perform live. And because I didn't know what to play, because it was the time where I had this record 30, I wasn't going to play Crispy Bacon live in front of all these people, because you have to understand these are like French singers and classical people. I mean, they're really not into techno, especially not back then. I mean, you need to understand the time where it happened. We were the devil.
Yeah, but you could have brought the band out to do Flashback at least.
I'm sorry?
So you could have brought the band out to do Flashback. That would have been funny.
We could, but I mean, the idea was, because it was so tough on us.
Yeah.
You have to understand the place where we did it. It's a very classical. It's called the Olympia. It's a classical room.
Yeah.
It's like going to the Hollywood Boulevard or something. I mean, something like that. Techno music has never ever entered that kind of place. Yeah. Everybody wants to chase us and close our party because we are the devil. Either you accept to do it or you don't. But we thought if we accept it, we have to do it in a nice way. Yeah. And when we arrive on the afternoon to rehearse, all the staff member from there looks at us going, why the fuck are you coming here with your shitty music? This is how we got treated when we arrive in that room.
Wow.
So there's two ways to deal with that. Either you say fuck off and you leave, or you say nothing and you think, let's try to move things forward. So we did say nothing. And we decided to do Acid Eiffel because we felt it was maybe the nicest track to play live. But again, Acid Eiffel, 4 minutes is a nonsense.
But Laurent, I mean, you just said that I mean, how is it in France in 2020, the perception of techno now compared with I'm talking, with the people you were just talking about, like how is it looked upon in France?
Before COVID, we thought that things had changed a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Before COVID, we thought we were much more accepted. We were not the ugly duck,
Yeah.
But then since COVID arrived, and the cultural minister have been repeating over and over again that the nightlife, it's not part of the cultural minister, but it's part of the I can't remember which one that is say, either prime it's much more official and much more
serious
orientated. Okay. So basically, people who work in nightclubs, DJs and artists and stuff like that, for quite a long time since COVID, were not treated as artists.
Okay.
We had to do quite strong letters to the minister. I did one. Vincent from the Nuit Sonore did one quite strong as well on a big newspaper here. We've had to shout and, again, being French, going forward and trying to fight and fight for shit to move forward. And we thought that we won a lot of wars, but it looks like we haven't that much. So it looks like there is still a hell of a lot to do. I
mean, during this year in France, during the COVID pandemic, I mean, do you feel that the scene or the artists have been looked after in the same way maybe in other countries? I mean, with regards to grants and stuff, I mean...
Well, compared to England, for sure, we've been looked after much better. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what's happening in Spain. What's happening in Spain, Ali? How is it?
I mean, I'm not Spanish, so I can't take advantage of.
No, but maybe you know what's happening there.
I know that the restaurant, certain segments of the restaurant and hospitality industry, they have been able to get I think 70% of their wages paid.
Okay.
And then they just came out this year for artists with something that will give you 40% of your lost income. If there was a festival, I don't think it's for club gigs. It's more like for festival gigs or like big event kind of gigs. If those got canceled, you know, you can kind of claim 40% of that. Obviously you have to like send them all this documentation to support your claim, and then wait and see if it gets approved. So a little bit, but not, you know, enough for
What about
artists.
in America? What about in America? What's happening?
There's nothing.
Nothing.
Government's
Yeah.
terrible.
There's no help for the
Helping
arts here in the U.S.
No.
They don't give a shit.
For the
You can
artists.
basically get a loan. Yeah.
They give a $1,200 check in when was that? In April?
Yeah.
That's it. And then a little bit of unemployment
There's
extension benefits, but that's it.
There was a couple funds from private companies that asked artists to send them an application for financial help, and then they would send like a check for $1,000 or something, and there was multiple, but these were all privately funded, like even by BMI or something like that, but nothing funded by the government whatsoever. I know that the mayor of Los Angeles made an announcement at one point saying that he was trying to put together some sort of program for the entertainment industry in California, being both film and the music entertainment industry. But it was something that he mentioned in a speech, and then there's just been no word of it ever since. So
Yeah.
I get the feeling generally overall globally that like people don't care in government. Like they think that there's so many artists and so many promoters waiting in the wings, you know, to take over from all the people that are going to be affected and maybe never return, that it's okay to let things just fall apart and end, die, and then have the other people that are waiting take over from there. So that's the feeling that I get, you know.
Do you think?
I would say from what I've been paying attention, it seems like most Western countries, especially in Europe, have done something to help their citizens. And I think this has probably been one of the most disappointing thing about the United States is the U.S. has literally paid zero to nobody, to no one in the restaurant industry, hospitality. I mean, and there's been no financial support for anyone for anything through this.
I think with like for sure with America, but with Europe, or even with like they're now talking about Glastonbury now being postponed to 2022. It's just about the insurances, right? And I don't know whether any company, whether it's Awakenings or Time Warp, no one can speculate whether they can, whether it's regarded the artists or the DJs that are involved. They just can't take the risk, you know. That's the thing. So we are in the unknown, right?
Do you think it's perhaps the fact that they haven't got the figures of what the industry of clubbing, for example, is bringing? Because in France, until someone came out with some figures, they completely ignored us. I mean, the word clubs has been erased from the politic vocabulary for the last 9 months. And last month, a number came out.
A number which said, I think they said the industry of electronic music is bringing 400 million a year, something like that. And a number came out from the SACEM, which is the equivalent to the GEMA in Germany. So I don't know what it is in the US, but what's the equivalent to the GEMA in
ASCAP or BMI probably.
Yeah. So when somebody like that comes out with a number like that, the government went, oh, and weirdly enough, the word clubs came out again, and it said cinema, bars, restaurant, and clubs, and we all went, whoa! I mean, they spoke about us.
It's probably greater than that. I mean, if you think about like the ecosystem, like people traveling to go to a festival, you know, they're buying a plane ticket, they're booking a hotel, They're eating in the local restaurants.
Sure.
I mean, it's crazy.
I would love to know the number of Berlin. How much money?
But think about in the
generates in Berlin.
Think about in the U.S. too with EDM. EDM is
huge,
massive.
I mean, no one's. This is what I always think. No one's spoken about like Las Vegas. What's going on there? I mean, surely that's.
Yeah, Vegas is still kind of open.
I watched a documentary about it recently. There was a documentary on YouTube. Someone did a short film about.
So are people still playing there? I mean, are DJs still playing?
I don't think. No, there's no clubs opening. No.
Vegas has been hit pretty damn hard.
Yeah, because I mean that's just an island, isn't it? Like that is literally an island for pure. It's just
pretty much.
Yeah, it's because 80% of Vegas people, the jobs are based on the Strip, and since the Strip is shut down and some tourists are not coming, then all the surrounding stores in the industry who support other industries are all falling apart as well because they're so dependent on the Strip being active.
But I also think like the U.S. government views like going to events and festivals and clubbing as like entertainment, where that's not important.
Luxury. Yeah,
it's a luxury versus like industry where people need jobs like car manufacturing and stuff like that. Where
it's no more an industry.
Like,
it's no more.
That's why the government doesn't care. They don't care about that, even though it's a huge part of.
But it's the same with Berlin. I mean, if Berghain closes, I mean, I hope it won't happen. But for years you had this amazing 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer bar 25 Watergate. Berghain. You could go out and you could walk to all the clubs. And it's the same as like Manhattan. If this goes, then of course it becomes really difficult, for people to have a good night out in a city. I'm sure it's the same in Paris. Without the Rex, without all these clubs, if they close, then these countries lose so much money.
In the U.S., it's become very apparent in America that the one thing that they care about more than anything is bailing out Wall Street and major corporations, and that's it. And all the money has been given to that, and that's it. Trillions of dollars that they've given away, and these are companies that are not necessarily hurting. I mean, if you think about Amazon and all these companies, their profits are tripling.
Yeah.
They're making more money than they've ever made during this pandemic, and they're still getting bailouts.
And our government is struggling to come to an agreement to give an extra $900 billion to the American people, when easily they can give trillions to Wall Street and giant corporations. It's so fucked. It's fucked.
Well, let's hope that changes. But Laurent, hasn't France always been nice to artists? I remember that Terence Fixmer once told me that there was even a monthly payment to an artist. If you could just say you're a DJ, you would get a monthly certain payment as a base
there's
income.
Well, it's not that easy. Okay.
No? I always felt France would be so they're really into arts. They're really supporting the artists.
They are. There's something called les intermittents du spectacle. And for that, you have to make a certain amount of hours per year to be able to get the status.
Yeah.
And basically, they did that a lot for the cinema industry, even for the music industry, because they consider that when an artist is not on the road, is creating, if you make an album and you take a year off to have to make an album,
right? Yeah,
they carry on paying these, so they can have an income.
That's what I heard. Yeah, but that's the only country in the planet that does something like that.
But to fill that, you have to I can't remember the amount of hours. It's quite a lot. It's you don't get it like that.
Right. Okay.
But it's true in France. We're very lucky because they're helping the industry of cinema, the music, the theater. They're very much into the artistical world. Yes, they are. Because they know very well it keeps it's the sunshine for a lot of people. It's good. And we all know that. We're all sure of that. And it's true in France, they understood that a long time ago. And you know that the cinema industry in France is very powerful, is very big.
Yeah.
But I guess is as well because of all these help. Yes.
Yeah. And I think you had maybe you still have that in France, a certain percentage of music played on the radio has to be originated in France, right?
Yes.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Yes, for major radio station, they have to play a certain percentage of French music. But the weird stuff about this, we're talking about French-speaking music.
Oh wow!
So if it's an African band,
Acid Eiffel wouldn't count as a French music piece.
If it's a band who lives in Paris and decide to speak in Portuguese or in whatever language, they will not be considered as French artists. Us techno guys, as we make instrumental music, we are not considered as this percentage. So it was made. We kind of fight for that as well. I mean, you know, of course, when there's good things, there's bad things as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just to finish with his help with what France does, it's great. But why we are a bit pissed off the night industry at the moment is because the actual status of DJ doesn't exist in France. The status does not exist. So we don't fit the boxes. So some of the DJs are in the intermittent du spectacle, as you're saying, but it's only, I think, only 40% of us. The rest, they're self-employers or they're trying to find a way to fit the box. And there's a lot of them left over at the moment because they're not allowed, they're not entitled to these helps. So it's kind of a tricky thing. And I think once this COVID thing will pass, it would be very healthy for the techno scene in France to get together and to try to propose a proper status.
Right, like actually we did in Germany. I think it just happened this year that the DJs are now basically called artists, which is taxed in a different way, and the support is a different. But we have this funny thing that they want to give you, let's say, I think it's something like 50% of what you've earned in the same month the year prior, the year before, but only for gigs you played in Germany. And that's for an international DJ. It's like, oh, great, but obviously they took all the taxes, like with open arms, that you've gathered everywhere in the world. But yeah. So I think I played a gig at Berghain last November. So that was the only gig I played in Germany.
Laurent, steering the conversation back to you specifically.
I'll get another beer in the meantime.
I mean, you've had so many career highlights, your 30 plus years of playing. What would you say is your proudest achievement? Was it like being awarded the Legion d'Honneur in 2017? Did you feel, you mentioned how back in 2010, when you entered the Olympia Theater, the way, the vibe that was coming from everybody towards you, as if you were the devil. Did you feel sort of vindicated when you were bestowed that honor? Because it's such a great honor. And how was that received within the industry and like the naysayers of?
Some people thought I sold myself to the devil by accepting it. I don't see why I sell myself to the devil when we've achieved a point where we were really, really regarded. I mean, we talk a lot in the documentary about what happened in France. I think if you haven't been here, it's difficult to understand how hostile the French government was at one point towards techno music. The press, the government, the
probably
policy.
Similar to how it was in the UK as well, like during that
it was way
Summer
tougher.
Love kind of,
Way
worse.
tougher.
way tougher because in UK they understood it, but then it kind of bothered them because they couldn't control it. So they did this law, and then if you were playing with the law and you were paying the cops and stuff, you could organize a rave. Here, everything was stopped. I mean, you couldn't say to your neighbor that you were a DJ or you were a techno artist. Straight away, they look at you like, what? Is this a job, or do you take drugs? Or, I mean, it was really, really strong. And there have been some very, very bad article in the press, in huge magazines and huge newspapers, which really hurt. It did hurt for a long time. But anyway, receiving this thing, for me, it's the last sentence of the documentary, actually, because we Gabin was there to film the day when I received my medal, and the guy who gave me my medal is ex-minister of the
culture.
Yes, is Jacques Lang, and Jacques Lang is the man who helped us to do a kind of a love parade in the streets of Paris. Mm-hmm. He really, really helped us to change things over in France, and he really did fight with us. He's one of the only politicians who really, for years and years, has been behind us and helping us and opening doors to us. And he's always there. He's still there. He's an old man now, and he's still there. And when I found out I was gonna be given the Légion d'honneur, I said, I want Jacques Lang to give it to me. You know, I don't want the president to give it to me. I want Jacques Lang to give it to me because it's a symbol. It's important for me. And the funny thing is, he gave a lot of Légion d'honneur over his career, and it was the very first time he actually left Paris to go somewhere else to give it to someone. So he gave me the honor to travel to the south of France in the village where I live, and he gave it to me here, which meant a lot. And what I say in the documentary is, when I was very young, I wanted to play music to people. That was my dream. I just wanted to play records because I love music, and music helped me to become who I am and to express myself. And it really helped me to, it's my everyday life. And I had a dream. I had a dream to play records in clubs, and I wanted strobe lights and mirror balls, and I wanted to play Donna Summer loud and make people dance to it. And I've been doing that for 30 years. And on top of that, I can travel. I've been traveling. I've been sharing my love for music all around the world. And people actually love me for that. I mean, I can't dream better than that, So it just proves that a silly young kid dream, you can believe in your dreams. And what I'm saying in the documentary is, if this medal can show to one kid today that is 15 years old, who's got this crazy dream of being a footballer, being a carpenter, being a writer, being whatever, and his family looks at him and say, no, don't do this job, do a proper job. Like my family said to me, don't become a DJ. It's not a job. Go to catering, become a waiter. And at one point I went, no, I'm not going to become a waiter. I love catering. It's cool. I like eating, but I want to play music. I believed in my dream and I went all the way for it. If my medal can just show one kid that you should believe in your dreams, well, I've done my thing. So yeah, I was proud to get it because we did fight. We did fight hard, but we got somewhere before COVID. Now it's COVID and we have to fight again. But you know what? Without fight, there's no purpose. So it's okay. That's all right. We're going to carry on fighting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no sense.
Yeah.
After you became a successful DJ, how were your parents and your family about it?
Fine.
They're fine, right?
Of course they're fine. Of course they're fine. All the parents want they want the kids to do well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand. I mean, my son, he got a mixer, okay? He bought himself a mixer and he started doing mixing. And he mixes well. He's got good taste. And then one day he says, yeah, I would love to become a DJ. And I went, what?
Like, no.
I have to admit, I went, what?
But did you push that on
We
him
all
at
turn into
all,
our
or was it-
parents.
or was it a natural thing for him?
Oh no, I never pushed him. Never. And since he's very young, I always left him play the music he wants to. I can say what I think. I mean, I can say, oh, yeah, bad. You know, I mean, sometimes he says, oh, for you, it always has to be good and stuff. And we laugh about it. But I think he's got great taste, really, really good taste.
But for him to have your record collection at his disposal,
he knows.
I mean,
He knows.
come on.
He knows this is for him. But you know what? It's not a present. I don't think it's a present. It's a very, very heavy present.
But Lauren, what's your view on like the, you know, I'm going to talk pre-COVID, and the view on sort of the festival versus club scene in France, because from where I looked at it across Europe, whether it was Italy, Germany, or wherever, it was literally like the festival scenes were taking over, and it was becoming very difficult for the club scene. I mean, and do you think that there is any way that we can take control back for this scene, or is it the kids that have too much choice, or they had too much choice? Or
it's the same here, but it looks, I don't know in other countries, but in France it looks like big festivals. It's a lot of very young kids.
Yeah.
And then there is still a club life with a little bit of an older crowd, and as well with a crowd which is a bit more stronger minded regarding music. So you know, I've always been a club DJ, you know, and you know that. You know, I go to a little bit of festival, but not very much, because I've always liked playing longer sets, and I've always liked the club environment. I like being next to people. I like being able to touch them and see their eyes and you know, have a connection with them. So I usually do, I would say 80% clubs and 20% festival, even though same in France, festivals become much bigger and kids are kind of deserting clubs. You still have a very good amount of clubs where we can go and play amazing music. I mean, there's amazing clubs around the world where we guys go. I guess we do the same ones, but very similar clubs, and we all have, you know, our route of clubs where we like playing. But it's
Laurent,
true.
why do you think people are deserting the clubs and going to more of the event type festivals? Why are clubs? Why is Output and Cielo like?
Because
why are clubs closing?
You know what? I think they get to see more, faster and more. It's like a very consuming. You know, just look at kids, the way they watch a film or they watch TV, or they will be able to watch their telephone, send a text, as well as watching a series, as well as doing something else. And I guess if they go to a festival, they get fulfilled with everything. They get all sorts of music. They see a lot of artists. They feel like they get their money worth much more. You know,
I think I was going to say, it's also, I think we're moving into a much more, the kids are far more conservative, and with the money that they have, they will spend it all on maybe just from go out for a daytime festival where it finishes at 12, they go home, and they get to listen to 10 headliners, you know, and I think this kind of vibe, you know.
Saying that, it doesn't mean that the kids who go to festival today are not the clubbers of tomorrow. They will become
for sure.
Tomorrow. They will, you know, and things change over and over again. And I think at one point they will discover that the club is not just for old farts, and maybe they will get a completely different experience with music in a club. I mean, in a festival, it's all about energy, and I can understand it. I mean, I took my son to a couple of festivals last summer. Well, no, 2 years ago, because not last summer. Well, yeah, last year. I especially took him to a very big kind of mainly hip hop festival in Paris. First of all, I was really surprised by the people who were there. They were like super cool. There was no heavy vibe, like hip hop vibe, you know, nothing was heavy. It was like super easy, very much fun. And I could not believe the energy. The energy, man, was unbelievable. I went to gigs like to see French rapper. The room was bouncing like hell, and I felt it's something happening here. You know, something is happening, and you know what? It belongs to them.
Yeah, but you're making I'm almost getting goosebumps, because this is the same thing that when you're a young guy and you go to Notting Hill Carnival and you listen to like hardcore dub music for the first time. That's the same vibe. It's complete energy. Yeah, it's electric vibe. You know. I
can understand why my son said to me, I want to go back next year. Of course. And you know what? I said, I want to go with you, because I felt like it was the same energy that I saw 30 years ago when I went to the first raves. It was fucking unbelievable. They go mental, absolutely mental. And it's a really good, positive energy. And I loved it. I thought it was great. So I understand why they go there. But I think once they pass this, and once maybe they want to have a longer story with music, maybe they'll go to clubs and they'll listen to music differently. You know, I think the taste changes over the years, and the you know, I really think it evolves. So I don't think it's a big problem, because I still feel now, like before COVID, there was still a lot of clubs where I went to DJ, and they're fucking fantastic. I don't know if you guys know the Grele Forelle, that club in
incredible.
Absolutely, so good.
Club.
Yeah.
You know, this is a place to go, but there's a lot of other places like that. There's some amazing clubs in Germany. I mean, it's so good. There is still amazing clubs where they dedicate themselves to sound system, and you know, they're becoming more and more Japanese. The real good clubs become more and more Japanese, and we're very lucky because we get to play on like super duper sound system, and there's so many great clubs nowadays.
I mean, have you played at the Blitz Club in Munich?
Of course, I love the Blitz. It's brilliant.
I mean, I feel living here in Berlin, I always say that we need these kind of clubs. We need a club like that here, you know.
Do you think that would work in Berlin?
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I mean, it's very sort of like sound system centric, where that's the main focus. It's not anything but being on the floor. And we did have these things maybe in the past, but we need more places. You know, we need investment, people to get involved with, you know, stuff like this.
Like when you like earlier when we were talking about cameras and filming and stuff, and like I think about a club like Berghain, where you know they've been open so long and they've been able to hold that mystery of what happens inside the club without, you know, you have to pretty much go there to know what really happens in the club. You don't really see many videos online, and so they're still out there.
Yeah, of course, because it's a policy. You know, you don't take your telephone out at Berghain, and you know what? That's why the place is still magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Laurent, I have to bring up, since Matt and you are obviously on the show together, I have to bring up "Feeling Good." Feeling Good. That's the name of the song, right? Feeling Good. Yes. How did it feel to bring back the big piano breakdown? Because I was really missing the big piano breakdown. And were you a fan? Obviously, there were those big piano breakdowns in those early house records, but there was also a lot in the early kind of ravey record.
Yeah, before that, the Italian piano house.
And the Italo house, yeah, exactly.
I loved it. I mean,
what was the catalyst for that record? And
coming from Hacienda, you got to understand maybe some of the bigger tunes up north were piano tunes. You know, piano tunes up north in England back then were the big thing, because people were taking a lot of ecstasy and they were rushing on drugs, and they needed positive music to like go fucking mental. And And it's true. I mean, when you were playing at Hacienda and all these gigs up north, even if you were into Detroit techno, you had to play a couple of piano house tunes. So I grew up with this music.
Do you have a folder? Do you have a folder of piano breakdowns kind of in your collection that you often?
I have tons.
Yeah.
I
always remember this one.
Piano house tune.
I always remember this one. Was it Franco Zappella? We've got to move it. Do you remember this one? Yeah. You know, it's the ultimate. Like, it has everything in 6 minutes. It goes through everything. You know, it's just these tracks.
Or Richard Paradise, STI Project. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But saying that, it was it's not me who did the piano. It's
Chambray. Chambray.
Yeah. It's him. Actually, Chambray came to me and he said, "Laurent, I really want to make a track with you." And I said, "Yeah." I'm a huge fan of his music. I love his raw, tough Chicago, funky as hell shit. I mean, I love his music. So when he came up to me, I thought, "Oh wow, this is cool." And I said to him, "Yeah, but the problem is I don't really have time." I was working on a project back then, and I'm very slow in the studio. And it's true, I'm not a big studio guy. I'm more a DJ. So I always say, "No, I don't have time." And he said to me, "I don't give a shit. I send you this thing." So he sent me this 1 minute thing, and there was the piano in there. And I listened to it, and I went, "Wow, this is cool." So I said to him, "Okay, I come back with something." And then I sent him a 7-minute track the day after, and he went, "Yeah, we've got it." So he kind of put the ideas together, and then I did the arrangements, and I added quite a lot of stuff, but he had the piano break. It's him, definitely. But when I heard it, I still play some piano tunes, but not the tacky Italian ones. I've kind of been careful with that. But you know, I still play some piano because I always like piano. I mean, I like instruments. You know, I was working with a jazz band and stuff, so I mean, I do like my instruments. So yeah, piano is good, and you know what? I think feeling good felt good at the time we did it. And it was funny because the first time I played it, it was in this festival in Chamonix.
Yeah.
You know, Chris, you go there quite a lot, don't you? You go skiing for a week, huh?
I'm very close actually. But you're talking about what is it called?
Yeah, how it's called? Unlimited.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Unlimited. Yeah. But I remember
45 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I had like 6,000 people dancing in the snow, and I dropped the record, and the whole room went crazy. And Jose, who organizes the festival, said to me, "What's this record? What's this record?" I'm like, "That's the new track I've done with Chambray, and that's coming out on Matt's label." And he's like, "Wow, can I film? We need this record. It's really good." And I felt, all right, this is good. This is a positive one.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember you posting a lot of videos of you playing the record. And
I did because I thought it was funny. But it's nice sometimes to do something which goes against the flow. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I guess this is why I did a rock album. My next album is completely rock and roll. That's really against the flow. Believe me.
I wanted to ask, how does the psychedelic rock band album sound?
You know what? It was amazing because the band is called the Liminanas. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No.
It's a French. Liminanas. It's a French psychedelic band. They've been going on for like a good 10 years, and they have like a good press, and people really like them here. They're still very underground, and they came to play at the festival I co-organized. Am I still there?
Yeah, Chris just left.
Yeah, it's just my camera is fucking up.
Laurent, is this kind of like psychedelic? You mean like krautrock kind of psychedelic, like Noi or?
No. So this band is more like 60s stuff.
Okay.
A lot of
like
French
Iron
talking.
Butterfly psychedelic.
No, but very early Gainsbourg, like Melody Nelson and stuff like that. And they came to play at the festival I co-organized in the south of France. and we became friends straight away. I really felt good with these guys. I mean, it's him and his wife, and she's the drummer, he's the guitarist and the singer, and they're really cool people. So we became quite close. And then we invited them the year after, and we said to them, it'll be nice if you come and DJ for us. So they came with their son, and their son is quite young. He's like 12 years old. And we said, we want the whole family to come and DJ and play 7-inch in between gigs. So they came, and we became even closer. And they proposed to me to make a remix for them. So I did a remix 2 years ago for them for a song called Dimanche. And they were very happy with the remix. And since that, they've been calling me and say, Laurent, we've got to make an album together. We really have to make an album together. I'm like, an album? And he said to me, yeah, we should go towards like Cannes and music like that. And I'm like, Cannes? I love Cannes.
Yeah,
you know, against the trance, you know, I love Cannes. And he said, yeah, I'm a big fan of Cannes. We should make a track. We should make tracks like that. So I said, let's make one track. So we did a track about a year and a half ago. And then we didn't speak to each other for a while. And COVID arrived. And he rang me and he said, listen, we really have to make this album now. And I said to them, I don't know. I'm not sure. I need the time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they sent me like 10 tracks. And I said to them, listen, I'll work on the first one. We'll see if it works. And then we'll take it from then. And I worked on the French track, on the first track, which was a song very, very, very Serge Gainsbourg-like. And I've kind of added a hell of a lot of things to it, but I kept the proper 60s rock vibe. Mm-hmm. And I had such a good time doing this. I thought, I can bring melodies. This is nice. This is very different. He was super happy with it. And he said to me, Laurent, now you can't say no. We have to make this album together. So we did the album in 2 months. He was sending me stuff. And I was just like firing him with tons of layers and stuff like that. So I did all the arrangements of all the tracks. And half of the music is from me and the other half is from him. And then he proposed to me like 5 or 6 tracks. And then after I've done that, I kind of got the hook of it. So I sent him a few tracks and I said, okay, now I want to create tracks for you. But the album is fundamentally rock. It's not techno at all. There's a lot of electronic elements in it. But music-wise, you know, it's a lot of guitars and it's not built like proper songs. So it's much more free. This is why we say we're in between krautrock, then French Gainsbourg, or there's some stuff which are very Ennio Morricone. So the actual album is very, very, very cinematic, very cinematic, and it's actually a story. So he really that's from him. He said to me, I would really like to make an album with a proper story. So we're developing a story. And he said it's this young guy and he goes and meets this girl. It's a love story between two people. And he really wanted that. He really wanted to do that. And then from the first song had the elements and I worked on it and I said to him, okay, I understand the concept. Let's go in that and let's do that. So we did this album and it talks about this male and his female and meet, and the story is whatever is happening. So we have one song in Spanish, which is sung by, I don't know if you remember this kind of crazy punk band called Panico. Does any of you knows Panico?
Spanish punk band.
He's from Chile. He's from Chile, and now he's got an electronic band with his wife. But the original band was called Panico, and they're very big in Latin America. And pretty synthetic electronic punk band. Really, really.
Have you heard Folakzoid from Santiago?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of my favorite bands. Yeah,
I love it.
Chilean.
I love it.
Viva
So the album is coming out in the end of March, beginning of April.
Yeah.
So we've done this album, which is okay. It's not what I'm used to do, but again, I love challenges. I always like challenges, and I like to push myself into different directions. I mean, I already produced a hip hop album with a French rapper 5 years ago, which was kind of quite electronic, but very musical. It was quite full with music. and now I wanted to go a little bit further. So working with this band was very easy because the exchange was super easy. Super easy, you know. He was sending me stuff, and the day after I was like, okay, I work on this, and I worked on it, send it to him, and he said yes to everything. And now he's very happy because he's, you know, I actually I composed a lot of the melodies, which I'm very happy about, because I never thought of myself as a musician at all. So I got
funny.
more involved into a more musical concept, which was interesting.
So you never picked up an instrument yourself?
No. Unfortunately, I would so love to be able to play an instrument well. I would so
Not too late.
I know, but I know.
Laurent,
a good time.
Your name is obviously synonymous with techno, and you've been so eclectic in the projects that you've chosen to work on over your career. Most, you know, recently this you know, psychedelic rock project, and then the hip hop band. How have you managed over the years to like drown out the techno purism white noise?
I think.
Do you care what the techno purists care? Because it seems like no matter what you've done, you still have carried the torch forward. And you still embody the essence of techno. And isn't that what techno is? Taking chances, being punk rock, and yeah.
I've always been very honest with what I do. And even when I've been taking risks, I've been very honest and open about it. I know I disappoint people. I have disappointed people throughout my career. I know
Fans,
that.
you mean?
I'm sorry?
Fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I give you an example. When I did the album called Cloud Making Machine, okay? At that time, I was a bit bored with techno because I felt that techno was going in a loop. And I thought, I don't like loops. I don't like when it's just the same over. It was a time where, there was a lot of loops. You know, it was the time of Prime Records and stuff like that. And everything sounded the same. There was a lot of interesting stuff. But when you have 20,000 of it, you feel like, what's the point? I mean, what is new in this? So I felt a bit bored. And this is a time where I kind of got more interested with jazz, with live elements. And I needed, for me, not for anybody else, I needed for me to get out of crispy bacon and to do something different, because I hate repeating myself. So I made this album. When I finished the album, I called Eric, I still work with Eric now, which was my partner on F Communication. And I said, Eric, I've got these tracks. I think you should come home and listen to it. So he came to my house, and I played him all the tracks. I remember so well. And Eric is not a very talkative guy, right? So he stands there like this for 50 minutes, not a word, listening to everything. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm dead. I'm so dead. And at the end of listening to the album, Eric goes, how many copies do you think you're going to sell of this? This is the only question he asked me. And I'm like, quite frankly, if we do 10% of what we did on the Crispy Bacon album, I'll be happy. And he said to me, as long as you know where we're going, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I knew very well I was going to disappoint with this album. But back then, I wanted as well to start working with contemporary ballet, and I wanted to make music for contemporary ballet. And this album is now 20-something years. And actually, through that album, because of that album, I've been working with 4 choreographers. So I actually got to what I was looking for. I never left techno. It's not because you do something else that you are dissing your own family. Techno will always be my music, the music from my heart. But at the end of the day, there was something for me before techno. And without disco, without funk, without dub, without punk, without new wave, without the Cure, the Clash, without all these guys, I would never listen to techno, because they are the people who brought me, because all this put together is what techno is all about. So by doing something different, it kind of, clears my head. And the day I finished the album with the Liminanas, I made a real really fucked up techno track who's going to come out in February. Okay. I'm not going to say more than that.
Okay.
You can send us later.
It will not going to come out on my name. So I'm not going to say more than that. Right. But I needed to go back to techno as soon as I finished the album, because at the end of the day, techno is my and house, because for me, techno and house is the same thing. But this music, house and techno, this dance floor thumping, funky music is my tree. It's my roots. It's what stands me up. I'm standing up because of techno music, but I need to go and experiment, and I need to go in different directions to feel alive, because otherwise I would feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. What's the point for me to make 20 crispy bacon? First, I couldn't, because I know people are going to say, oh, he's repeating himself, or he's trying to copy himself again. And I couldn't, because it was one thing like that. And I just want to experiment. I want to move forward.
What you just said is extremely true, but it's also, I think, really a good advice for everybody watching and listening too. Like, venture out in different styles here, there. It's not that you're leaving your foundation. It's rather that you're gaining something.
Chris, you never leave your foundation.
Never.
With this album, with Eliminanas, I haven't left my foundation, because that's what I wanted to say as well. As much as I took risk, and I knew the risk, and it hurts to disappoint people. Of course it does. But then when you disappoint, sometimes you bring other people to your music. But what I want to say is, my true hardcore fans, the people who've been following me for years, they know exactly who I am. Right. They know exactly who I am. And these are the people who will understand my, by going out of the road and going to do this album with Liminanas, or going out of the road making this hip hop album with Abdel Malik, me going out of the road working with this choreographer, or just experimenting, or listening to my radios, PBB, and not being bothered because I play salsa, or because I play some Spanish or some tango music, because they know who I am, because they know this. As long as it's good music for me, it makes me, it keeps me alive, and makes me vibrate. But again, all this put together makes the techno Garnier. So
I think these are amazing parting words.
No, come on.
A quick question.
Laurent, you couldn't have said it better. It's just perfect.
Hey, David, it's better be a good question, because I don't know if you can top that.
I just is the name Crispy Bacon a joke, or does it mean something?
It's a joke. It's a joke, man.
It's a joke. Okay.
Actually, let me tell you, right? It's quite quick. My English was not that good back then, and the actual name I wanted, I was picturing in my head, was Sizzling Bacon. Because when I heard the bass line, I could picture a frying pan with some bacon going like this, like this. And I wanted to say sizzling bacon, but my French made me do crispy bacon.
Crispy bacon. Okay.
So I did the track, and Jeff Mills came to my house on that week, and I played it to Jeff, and I said, Jeff, I've got this new track I want to play for you. And I played it for him, and he went, oh, wow, this is a really cool track. What did you name it? And I said, Crispy Bacon. And he went, what? Bacon. And Jeff said, this is the stupidest name I never heard in my life. And I looked at him, and I went, why? And he said, this is stupid. And I said, I love your reaction. I'm going to keep this bacon. I kept it just for that. Because my wife had told me, no, what you wanted was sizzling bacon.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's some amazing techno history. right at the end of the show. Laura, did you finish the red wine by now?
I finished my bottle.
I finished three beers.
Laurent, it's just, would you come back at some point, because we need part two?
I think we only scratched the surface, and I have to say, like, for everyone watching out there, like, you were in your early days when you were coming to DC to play. I was coming to hear you play open to close, and you were such a huge part of like my education in those early years before I was even thinking of having a career in music. So I want to thank you for that. And it's been an amazing, time getting to know you over the years. And
always there, man.
Huh?
Always
Yeah.
Always there.
Huh?
I say I'm always there. Always.
Yeah. Thank you for always being there.
And always staying true to yourself.
Yeah. And guys like Truncate and Drum Cell, keep on sending music.
Always.
Keep on. Absolute fan. I mean, I'm fan of the other two old farts, but if we've known each other for years, I can't say that to them now because we've known each other for too long. Yeah. But the other two, I absolutely love your music.
Thank you, man. Cheers.
Pleasure to meet you, honestly.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
so much great things to look for in 21, like a great techno track which is not going to come out under your name. You're finishing that red bottle of wine. A documentary called Off the Record.
Yes.
Amazing. Obviously, everybody should read your book, the expanded edition.
And see the documentary. Documentary is fun.
And watch the documentary and the other psychedelic rock album, dude, man.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud.
You've been busy.
It's really cool. It's cool. But the documentary is important because we've been living the last 9 months without being able to being a bit promiscuous with each other, next to each other, feeling each other, and having what we love doing is having people together like that. The documentary is about all that. It was made before COVID, and it's about all that. So it's very zeitgeist, as they say. Is it zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist. Great zeitgeist. and it's a very it's in a way a bit feel good because it'll be nice to show people what it's all about, and I hope people haven't forgotten all this because to be together it's very, very, very important, and this is what I miss more than anything now.
Amazing.
It's amazing to talk to you guys and see your face.
Amazing.
It's lovely to see
my friends, and I've missed seeing my techno pals, so it's wonderful. Wonderful.
It's been amazing to have you as the last guest of such an honor in before our break. We do a break now, right, guys? We do a break, a show break. We're going to be back when? When are we going to be back?
Early January. We don't know.
January.
At some point in January. So maybe a last quick round. What's going to be happening over the next 3 weeks for all of you until we're back? Obviously, we wish everyone who's been supporting us in 2020, watching this show, and being in the chat room. Thank you all so much. It's been really amazing, a treat to be with you guys, even in this year here, especially in this year. So, what last round was everybody up to now?
I turn 39 next week.
Oh, Mo's birthday!
Oh,
birthday!
Congratulations! What's the date, Mo? What date?
Christmas.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Wow.
Christmas, baby.
And you, Matt? What's the next one?
Well, for me next year it's a big 5-0. So
Ali?
Big 5-0 for me next year too. April.
Wow. Okay.
I'm the oldest one, Chris.
I've had it already too.
Yeah, me too. Where are you up to?
What? I'm up to my birthday was last week.
50 what?
Huh?
50 what?
You look pretty damn good for 52. So do you, Laurent. I don't know how old you are exactly.
Man.
It's being vegan.
You're still young.
I'm going to be 55.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I think
You know
it's 'cause
what?
you guys
Don't trust a
like to smile
DJ.
a lot.
Don't trust a DJ under 46.
So don't trust me.
Why 46? Why that number?
And
I don't know. It's just a random number, but DJs get better the older they get.
Chris, you know we are going to get slaughtered after that sentence.
I know. You know what? I don't care.
We're all boomers. We're all boomers. All the young generations looking at us saying we're all boomers.
I'm gonna
Oh,
resent
it's
that,
true.
though.
It's
Wow.
true. Yeah, we're boomers. That's the
It's
new
all
word.
good. We got
That's the new word.
experience. That's we have something they don't, which is experience. And then they'll realize this when they're in their 40s.
Don't sound. You know what? I hope I don't have that much experience. I'm still going to learn a lot.
Oh, I wanted to ask you quickly, Lauren, because before we leave this show, and going back to the beginning, I mean, are you a mountain guy? Are you a skier, snowboarder?
I ski. I mean, I'm very lucky because I live 2.5 hours away from the ski resort.
Okay, so we should arrange some kind of ski contest.
Well, I'm not a very good skier. But I ski every year. I go to Serre Chevalier, which is a really good station not too far from where I am.
Okay.
So I go every year. Yeah, it's in France. It's kind of a family thing to.
Yeah. I mean, I always think this is the amazing thing about France, where you have the ocean, you have the mountains, you have everything, everything in between.
And Switzerland is not too far away.
Especially living here, man. I mean, the ocean is 50 minutes away and the ski is 2 hours. So, living here is lovely. It's really nice. But yes, I ski a bit, but I can't.
Hey guys, this place is bigger than I thought, so you're all invited.
We're coming.
Okay.
We're coming.
Right.
I wish I could.
Perfect. Guys, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. And Lauren, have an amazing Christmas. I hope I really hope we see you next year.
It's going to be quiet.
Merry Christmas.
It's going to be very quiet.
Everybody, drink up, drink beer, drink wine.
Yeah, drink up. We've managed to close the year with a 3-hour show, so thanks to that, and everybody have a great time out there. Stay safe, stay healthy. It's great to see you, Laurent. So good to see you. I wish I could share this wine with you right now.
Stefan's wedding, man.
That's the wedding wine. Yes. Cheers,
Bye,
guys.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. So great to be with you all.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Ciao.